And we're live.
Woo!
Hello everyone.
Hello everyone.
Yeah, so this is kind of the start of a new thing for the channel. It's been kind of replicated on a few other channels. So if you're familiar with Every Frame a Post or EFAP and then Smudcast, they've been doing this for a little while. And I thought I'd give my own kaiju mix for the whole kind of format, as it were. But with me today, I'm going to be starting from the top. Beside me is Lord Commander Dunn.
Hello.
And below me is Daikaiju SpaceZilla or Joey.
Hi.
And then right across from me, the big monkey lover himself, Adam Scrye Productions.
What's up?
Yeah.
So yeah, between Daikaiju, Adam, and me, we're probably the kind of big kaiju fans here. Since you're the newcomer to the channel, Dunn, what's your experience with like giant monster movies in general? Since you're kind of like your whole focus of your channel isn't really about that.
So in terms of giant monsters, I've seen 3 kaiju movies. I've seen Pacific Rim. I've seen the Jurassic. I've seen Godzilla 2014 and 2019, and Godzilla King of the Monsters. I mean, and I saw the 1999 version.
You mean the 98
And
version that we don't talk
98
about?
version.
Yeah, don't
it's
worry about that.
The
We're good.
Last Jedi of Godzilla.
The Last
movies.
Jedi of Godzilla. Yes,
Yeah, I wouldn't
exactly.
say that. I would not say that.
Well, actually, no. I would say 98's more like the Dragon Ball evolution of Godzilla movies.
98
Or
is
the
far
Batman.
better than 2019. Let's just put it that
Or
way.
the-
Oh yeah.
Batman, or the Batman
The-
and Robin, or the Batman
Exactly.
and Robin of kaiju movies.
But yeah. So Dunn's, your experience is mostly in writing. So actually explain to everyone sort of where your background is and what you'll be adding to this whole conversation here.
So most of my stuff is based around like I've got a bachelor. I'm almost finished with my bachelor's in history, and I've been writing since for about 10 years, since I was 14, and at least like in terms of practicing writing. And I've been a published author for 5 years now, and so far I put out about nine books, with 2 more that are going to come out in the next two months.
And I will be making. They're all fantasy related. So
Yep.
if any of y'all in the chat are kind of big fantasy fans or want to get into fantasy, I recommend that you look up some of his stuff on Amazon. So after the stream, I will be updating the description, because originally I was supposed to have a few more people in here. Like Dunn, you know Jake the Surgeon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to have Jake in here, but I forgot to inform him that I changed the date for this. So sadly, I wasn't able to get Jake. I'll get him for another one. But yeah. So Dunn will be kind of serving as our main writer, as a published author, and then Adam, Joey, and I will all kind of be working to help us like get him up to speed on anything Godzilla related for the video we're going to be going over. And what we are going over is a video by Cold Crash Pictures, and it is reviewing the review-proof Godzilla Showa collection. So this is kind of the format we're working with right here. A little streamception for you guys. But
Good
let me
old
just
Cold
right here.
Crash.
First thing I want to say though is
Yeah.
I'd like to apologize to anyone that might see knows that I don't have profile pic here. I'm new to this type of thing, so I'm new to doing a live streams like this. So haven't figured out how to get my picture in yet. So yeah, that.
Yeah, don't worry. We are all very accommodating in the sense right here. So yeah, let's jump into this then, shall we?
Yep. Yay.
And let's just make sure the audio here works as well.
Your recommended list is hilarious on YouTube.
Oh, this is
We all heard that, right? I just want to make sure the audio works.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, the audio
Okay.
works. Yeah.
Good. Just tell me when to stop if you hear anything you
Criterion's
want to go over.
Godzilla Showa-era Blu-ray collection is basically review-proof. If you're new to the Godzilla series, no review, no matter how positive, will convince you to blind buy 15 half-century-old kaiju films that cost over a week's worth of groceries. And if you're already a fan of the Godzilla series, no review, no matter how negative, will convince you not to buy 15 of the most celebrated kaiju films of the last half-century, available together for the first time ever in HD via the gold standard in home video releasing, priced rather aggressively at just $7.50 a film.
I just want to stop right there because generally, how many of between Adam and Joey, you guys got all of the Showa videos, right? Or do you guys not?
I have the Criterion collection. That's
You
what
do
I
have the Criterion collection.
Yeah, that's what I have on the show.
Hmm.
I own them all on VHS, and I have not bought the Criterion collection.
But you were able to access them all way before the Criterion collection ever was a thing, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I have digital versions on my PC as well as VHS versions of all this. So
Mhm.
Yeah, because like generally, I'd say with the exception of Destroy All Monsters and then Godzilla versus Megalon, most of these films were pretty readily available. And what he says is essentially like $7 per film. That's actually cheaper than most of the versions of the films you could get, which you could probably get for like maybe 10, 15 for most of the films on
Oh, yeah.
DVD. So for Blu-ray, this along with the book is actually a pretty good deal. So I'm not really sure why he's saying this as like a negative, but I guess it's just whole part of the video essay format as it goes, I guess.
Maybe.
As a result, this video is not going to serve as a mere review of the Criterion Showa collection. It's also going to function as a sort of video companion to the Showa series itself. Now, there are lots of Godzilla videos already up on YouTube, and most of them break down into one of two categories, either nostalgic appraisal or jokey plot summary. There's nothing wrong with either of these two formats. In fact, I
do
watched...
you know this guy?
I do.
Well, not personally, no.
Well, not personally, but
I
I've
don't
seen
know
one of his videos.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I only heard of the pictures because I'm going to go to Nathaniel the video on his 98 review.
Yeah, Joey only knows me from the 98 review specifically that I did a while back, like when I was still in high school. But like, yeah. What I also think is kind of interesting is that he lumps Godzilla analysis into those two categories when like how he goes about the rest of this video kind of is the kind of quirky plot summary in a lot of ways. And I'll especially say like there's a lot of channels that do go into a little bit more deeper analysis. I would say like Up in the Depths, Monstrosities, and a few other channels that aren't even Godzilla focused. I remember there was one channel in particular that went really well into like the first Godzilla movie, and it was far from just like a basic plot summary. So I'm not sure how much like time he put into really watching any of these videos. I mean, like there are some that do fit that description, but other than that, it just seems a little offhanded, and again, just kind of fitting his tone of all around smug.
Yeah.
And the 54 video I'm talking about specifically was from Steve Reviews specifically.
At least he doesn't have At least he doesn't have framing monsters to quote from.
Yeah. Does Framing Monsters even have anything like doesn't mention anything with Godzilla on it?
No, it doesn't. But funny thing about that, it's so bad that you can't even find a pirate copy online.
Really? Then where'd
Nope.
you get your copy then?
I bought it off of used from Amazon for $19.
That's actually way too much money anyway.
Yeah, it was. I'm planning on reselling it once I'm finished with it, but
I might buy it off you for some money just so I can read it.
Oh, it's terrible. It's really, really bad. But like, it's so like run-on sentence. Like the structure of like the writing is terrible, even without the content. Like, it's a horrible like wall of text, paragraphs, and lots of run-on sentences, and lots of really, really like awful, awful sentence structure.
But the themes, the great takes, it's all there. But
It's
let's
an
get back-
idiot. It's an idiot intellectual who's reaching way too hard.
Oh yeah.
I like Lamp.
Inspiration for this video, but I do think that either format tends to alienate one of two big chunks of the audience.
And yay,
does more than
ads!
catch errors.
I love
With
when
Grammarly,
there's random
you can-
ads in my
Either the
videos.
diehard fans or the total newbies. And I wanted to make a video that had something for both. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the idea that sits at the core of each installment, its creative motivation and reason for being. So nobody's going to love all 15 of these films. I certainly don't. The styles and tones are just too different. Some of them are slow and somber, others are fast and fun. Some were assembled by top artists and technicians in their fields with multinational funding at their disposal. Others were created by apprentices and journeymen on shoestring budgets. But the one thing they all have in common is that none of them were made without purpose. There's a clear artistic intent behind each and every one of them, a creative justification that validates their existence.
Which is more than I can say for most movie franchises.
Not only
I will
Well,
actually say, like, that was probably one of the best take he's had so far.
Yes.
Amazing.
I have to
enough.
agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
Thank
why I get
you.
into. These are the issues and the conversations I used to get into on Twitter with people.
I'd like to say, he said nobody's going to love all 15 of the show-up films. And now, I'm not going to say I love all 15 of them, because Revenge freaking sucks. And there are some that aren't as good as the others, but I know a few people who love every single freaking movie. And
I will say that I am indeed one of those people. I do love every single movie. I will die on the
I
hill.
love
will
most of them, but I can't stand Revenge.
Get out of my stream. I'm gonna kick you out.
I love most of them.
I'm just kidding. All right.
this is one of the more interesting critical frameworks for original stuff in the series.
Wait,
I
I
also
love
think
both.
it's the most useful in terms of helping uninitiated viewers decide which ones they want to watch for themselves, which I thoroughly encourage.
I know the Godzilla series tends to skew pretty cornbally to modern sensibilities, but I promise.
If you know this series by reputation alone, you don't know what you're missing.
I'd also say that's pretty fair too.
Godzilla, 1954. What if we personified the most acute national tragedy in modern history as a giant amphibious dinosaur?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
You're good.
Because I'm watching it on YouTube. I just want to make sure I read what he put on there. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay.
The appeal of giant monster movies, for me, isn't in watching two giant monsters duke it out. It's not about how many toes the thing has or how many trains it eats. Giant monsters allow filmmakers the chance to dramatize that which we fear might destroy whole entire civilizations one day. Japan was singularly suited to craft such stories back in 1954, just 9 years after the United States leveled Hiroshima and Nagasaki with 2 atomic bombs, and then rebuilt much of the country in its own image in the decades that followed. I'm thinking most everyone knows the gist of the Godzilla story. H-bomb testing in the South Pacific awakens a giant prehistoric dinosaur who promptly stomps ashore and levels Tokyo.
But what might surprise first-time viewers of the film is that the primary concern throughout the second half of the film isn't the threat that Godzilla poses, it's the threat that the weapon that can defeat Godzilla poses.
See, halfway through the film, after all the military's weapons have failed to stop Godzilla, we learn that Dr. Serizawa has already discovered a way to destroy all forms of aerobic life, but the method is actually so destructive that he's not willing to reveal its existence to the world, even to defeat Godzilla.
Is that Ken Watanabe? Oh, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Is that supposed to be Alfred?
He's eventually persuaded by his ex-fiancée and her new boyfriend to go ahead and use the weapon, but only after he destroys all of his own research so as to prevent anyone from replicating his methods, including all the research in his head.
I wonder what was going through his mind when he slices the
See,
thing
Godzilla
and water starts filling up his suit.
That I think a lot of first-time viewers might take his first appearance.
What was that?
I'm saying, I wonder what goes through, like, if the character was real, what would have went through his mind after he sliced open the hose and water started filling up his suit?
I'm not sure. Well, he probably would. Well, like, aside from just
Panic.
drowning, just panic and death, especially because of how quickly Godzilla also dies to this. So, like,
For granted. It's a nuke metaphor, right? Oh, but it's so much more than that. It's about the ground-level horror of watching whole entire cities vanish overnight, post-traumatic stress on a national scale, and the fear that we might become that which we most despise in a desperate attempt to try and keep ourselves safe.
この上さらにこの新しい恐怖の武器を人類の上に加えることは科学者いや一個の人間として許すわけにはいかない。
Authored by one of the only countries in modern history that knew firsthand what any of those traumas were actually like.
So, you know, I had to show a little respect.
1955. Played again. Updated the
Love
giant
that.
metaphor to try and personify our current national anxiety. Godzilla Raids Again is often considered something of an inferior cash grab of a movie. It was released just 6 months after the first Godzilla. Toho replaced director Ichiro Honda with the far less popular Motoyoshi Oda. It's got a much smaller scope, a much smaller scale, and the pitch sounds a bit uninspired. What if 2 giant monsters attack Japan?
I would say like what he says isn't necessarily inaccurate because Honda wasn't replaced. Honda went on to work on a different project at the time, and then Oda went in to take his place. It's really only through the like sort of interviews we've had through like special features where we've learned that Oda wasn't necessarily popular. But like again, it's just a small nitpick there. I just want to say, but again, nothing too serious with that.
But on closer inspection, I think Godzilla Raids Again is a worthy successor to the original. It tells the story of 2
Agreed.
pilots who discover a second Godzilla locked in mortal combat with a giant ankylosaur Anguirus off the coast of Japan. The Japanese defense forces do their best to try and lure them further out to sea, but soon enough their grudge match finds its way to shore and they promptly level Osaka. It soon becomes overwhelmingly clear that the defense forces will have to come up with a more permanent solution if they plan to save Japan. My favorite interpretation of this film is that Godzilla and Anguirus represent America and the Soviet Union in the mid-1950s.
Anyone agree with that or no? I'm asking Adam and Joey in this case.
I'd actually say that yes, I think he actually does make a good point in there.
Why? Like, I don't recall those ever being alluded to in the movie whatsoever, though.
It's like in film criticism, it's like, well, based on the times in which these films were made, that was obviously something in the back of these people's minds, so it was subtly implemented. That's kind of like the rationale behind the interpretations like this. Like that's pretty common that you see.
I never ever in all of my Godzilla years never even made the link to that whatsoever.
It's because these people want to justify their own existence by being hyper interpretive because they have no other skills to bring to the table.
I appreciate that answer.
There's
That
also
sounds like a wonderful
like,
answer.
there's always been like a belief. He talks about, well, he doesn't talk about it in GHIDORAH the Three-Headed Monster, but like there's always been interpretations that like either it was in this film or later on in Rodan or in GHIDORAH the Three-Headed Monster that either Rodan, King Ghidorah, or Anguirus were all representing the USSR, while Godzilla was always kind of technically the stand-in for the US, which again, you have to like stretch and grab, like you have to say, well, because Godzilla was made by the atomic testing of America, so obviously he'll stand in for America, while any other monster that opposes him
I'm curious.
naturally just represents another world power. But like, the reason I don't agree with that take is because there's never like just
There's
like
no hint at it. There's no hint at it.
even in the first Godzilla movie they mention the events of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but like they don't specifically state America's blame so overtly. So like I can't get behind the take that that both monsters are representing a specific country in that case.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it does sound like reaching, and there is a lot of people that are like him that do see reaching messages every time. Like there's these bunch of idiots that I encountered a while back. I already
I can't understand you.
Yeah, Joe, you're
Optimus
Optimus priming real bad. You're just Optimus priming really bad. We can't really get you.
There is I'm saying that now that you mention it, that you're right. He does not like he's preaching in this case, and there is a lot of people of his type that will often preach for a theme that really has no hints, just to suit them. Just to suit them. Like, there's one, two idiots that I argued with before that, there's this one, two idiots that I argued with before that were saying something like, Godzilla represents the old system of Japan, Mothra represents new system. It's saying that, and pretty much was using it as a way to create a political agenda by saying the film is just anti-capitalism as a whole.
Yeah.
When
I'm
I
actually surprised that he doesn't go into that take specifically for one of the films that comes up. But we'll get to that, yeah.
Personally, I would interpret this film as more of like basically having kind of the same message as the first film, except aside from the two monsters being in there, it really focuses on like a company. It doesn't even focus on like everybody. It focuses on like this small group of people, the company they work for, and how they're like just basically trying to make a living for themselves, and how these monsters are really affecting them. And when the monsters come out on land and they're fighting, it's that's like purely for speculation, and because they were like, yo, we want monster to fight or whatever. But like the whole second half of the film where they're trying to like where they freeze Godzilla, for the lack of a better word, because I don't even know what you would call, trap him in ice.
Yeah, well, I'd say freeze him, yeah.
Like that's showing like, Shirazawa took the one weapon that could have killed him with him when he died. And like the guys that aren't even a part of the military that are in their prop planes are trying to help the military just as much. So it's like a sign of the like basically kind of like what we have going on in modern times. This is actually, I think this movie would actually make a better allegory for modern day current events than anything that happened in the past, because you have these small businesses that are trying to help the communities, especially in these different places where bad things have happened, like the riots, and then you have other things that are happening, like the Beirut accident that just happened. Like you have all these different things, and all of these smaller group of people, not the government per se, but like locally owned businesses and stuff like that, are like trying to help out with the overall whatever cataclysm, calamity, whatever you want to call it.
No, what I really find funny is the fact that like that take essentially something he'll say later on, like a few seconds from now, but like his favorite take requires the most stretching, yet another take he gives is more close to the money. Like we'll watch and listen essentially right here.
With fans sort of stuck in the middle, hoping against hope that they won't be obliterated.
Let's get through his posturing with his favorite take first.
Where the first film concerned itself with what the leaders of a nation might do in response to a kaiju attack, Godzilla Raids Again is very much interested in how the people outside the inner circles of power might respond. The characters have little say in what's going to happen until the final reel, so most of the film is just them trying to live some semblance of a normal life while they wait and wonder whether or not they'll be destroyed. The film is punctuated not by press conferences and cabinet meetings, but by simple scenes of everyday domestic life, like this engagement part, which goes on just long enough for the audience to wonder why they're even watching a scene like this in a kaiju film before someone comes running in to tell them that Godzilla just attacked Hokkaido and they might all be out of a job.
AKA the coronavirus.
Let's find themselves in a position to finally help defeat Godzilla firsthand, but it culminates in this brutal barrage of dive bombings that leaves more men dead than alive. A Pyrrhic victory that's as somber as anything you'll find anywhere else in the series.
Like again, I agree more with the take of just this is essentially the first film, but from the average viewer, more than like, oh, Angrist is the USSR and he's trying to seize the means of production.
What the fuck is that? Yeah, I'm sorry, that's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't agree with that USSR take. I'm sorry.
King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1952. How not to adapt Godzilla for the English-speaking market.
How not to adapt?
Yeah.
After two back-to-back box office hits, TOHO couldn't wait to capitalize on the success of their new budding franchise, so they fast-tracked a sequel in order to capitalize on the newfound success. Just kidding. Nobody made another Godzilla film for the next 7 years.
Again, I like the poignant smugness. I don't like it at all, and it's really weird that like he does not mention at all that like after Godzilla got put on ice, they made a ton of other films during this time. Like obviously Rodan came out, Mothra. It's really weird that he like positions it like this for some reason. I don't get that at all.
It's because he's referencing modern day franchises like the MCU and shit.
Oh, he'll mention Marvel in a little bit. Don't trust me. Yep.
Godzilla was already popular enough at that time where, if I remember correctly, I heard Honda. I remember Toho told Honda that he had to make a movie with Daikaiju or something in it. I think that was in their contract, which is why Golan had Daikaiju.
Yeah, because I mean, because I think in 1955, Half Human came out, so that was a monster film. Rodan came out in 56. Then there's a bunch of other films that were made by Toho at the time. The Mysterians was in 57. That had MOTHRA in it. And Varen was in 58. A kaiju film was The H-Man. That was in 58 as well, I believe. But, like, again, there was a ton of other films being produced by Toho at the time, and a lot of them were monster films. And, of course, Mothra came out in 61, and then King Kong vs. Godzilla comes out the following year in 62. So it wasn't like they just stopped making kaiju films at the time.
Yeah, they had a lot. Godzilla was popular. That's why they realized Godzilla was such a hit that they had to make more, to the point it was in Honda's contract where they couldn't make a movie with a monster.
Yeah. Like it just feels like him looking at the franchise from a very like weird modern kind of sensibility than actually kind of analyzing what was going on with Toho at the time. Just feels really weird.
And for those of you who don't know, if you've seen Golan, there's a reason why the monster in it, I forgot its name.
Magma.
Magma. There's a reason why it hardly serves any point in the plot and was cut out of the American version, because originally it wasn't supposed to be there. It was only there because of Honda's plot, where Honda's freaking contract, where he needed a monster in every movie he cracked Toho.
Yeah. Let's get back to Mr.
This
Smug.
guy.
Yeah.
So far, he hasn't said anything like super stupid yet.
Yeah, no, he hasn't said anything really bad yet.
Monstrosity's Tokusatsu vlog, I have to agree with him. It sounds like he's broadcasting from the other side of Jupiter.
You sound like you're from the far side of Jupiter, my dude.
It's really bad.
I will have to save up to get you a laptop, my man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. This is all growing pains.
Yeah, this is my first time doing this anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't said anything stupid, it completely retarded yet. But
yeah, not yet.
Because I seen the video last night. Soon, oh boy, he's gonna be saying some shit that's gonna make you want to blow your brains out of the stupidity he consuming.
Yeah.
Like,
and when it finally did, Godzilla didn't even get top billing. It just goes to show that unlike modern movie franchises where studios tend to lock everybody into 6-picture contracts right up front, and like the next 16 installments are all whiteboarded out years in advance. Back in the olden days, every single installment of the Godzilla series stood a very real chance of being the last.
It wasn't really like until after Invasion of Astro Monster where that kind of became the thing.
Yeah,
but like at the time, like Honda had his contract set out to make his films. Like it's just like, again, it just feels like he didn't put a lot of research into that, and it feels there's a lot of half truths in what he's saying.
I'd also like to point out, as someone who's supposed to be like a critic, this guy obviously doesn't know how titles work, because most of the time, whenever you see a somebody versus somebody, they put the victor in front. So, like that title, King Kong versus Godzilla, tells you who wins the movie.
Mm-hmm. And there's like very few exceptions to that.
Well,
the only one I could think of is like Aliens versus Predator, and that ends in a draw.
Well, I also noticed with this guy that though he's supposed to be a critic, he tends to just say something is and doesn't really go in depth to his points. He just says, "Oh, this means that. Oh, this is that," but doesn't really go in depth on why it is.
He's like, "It didn't get top billing, man." Whatever.
It's weird that he makes these small little bullet points, but then he was saying like, "Oh, all the Godzilla stuff that's on YouTube now is quirky plot analysis or just nostalgia loving." It's like, well, dude, you're just doing the same thing as well. Like Matt puts a lot of effort into his films, and like his are really fun. Like quirky doesn't mean bad. Like, it's good to joke about what you enjoy. Again, Up from the Depths does a really good job with his videos as well in terms of deeper analysis. Like, again, it's really smug, and it shows that he didn't put a lot of like work into like looking for videos.
He gives off this vibe that he's right. Like he gives off this vibe, this superior vibe of I'm right, everyone else is wrong.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, to his points, he doesn't even go into it. He just says something and then doesn't dive into it, moves on to something else. He doesn't dive into his points. He just says something, then moves on to the next.
Yeah, a quirky plot, a quirky plot summary.
Yeah.
That has very little depth. That
Oh,
has
yeah.
very little, like just as I'm saying, it's just like, okay, you're
Like,
doing
I'm not-
something. It's
Like
fine.
I'm not trying to suck myself off here, but when I do my videos, I try to go very, very in depth. That's why my reviews tend to be long. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with concise videos. Time Coach's reviews are short, and you know what? He's able to go in depth in that length. But the thing is, this guy right here, he hasn't really gone into it. He hasn't even done anything to be concise about his points. They are not informative.
Yeah, like explain your arguments.
Yep.
Whatever, back to the video.
The wry satire contained within King Kong vs. Godzilla. When the Big G is inadvertently freed from an iceberg by a hapless American submarine, a cutthroat pharmaceutical company decides they're going to capture King Kong and ferry him over to Godzilla so that they can make some money off the ensuing fight. Just one problem. When Kong and Godzilla finally do meet, they don't really seem to want to fight. Their first scuffle ends within minutes, and it's only after Kong is sedated and then airlifted directly into Godzilla's path that they finally have their big knockdown drag-out on top of Mount Fuji. But even then, both monsters stubbornly refuse to fight to the death, despite the fact that there's a lot of money riding on the outcome. The film ends with both monsters tumbling into the sea and then sort of just wandering off, an artfully understated rebuke of the greedy profiteers who'd sought to profit off the havoc that they'd wrought. But that's just the Japanese version. The American re-release was so badly butchered for English-speaking audiences that it's almost kind of fascinating. The American version adds this really weird frame narrative where the whole film is supposed to be a UN news report, which never, ever manages to look or sound like an actual news broadcast, which also does its damnedest to strip the story of any sense of satire. At one point, they bring out this talking head to inform the audience that Kong and Godzilla are seeking each other out because of some instinctive primordial rivalry, rather than the machinations of some profit-hungry humans. So the end result where they fight to a draw is less of a thematic statement and more of a, I don't know, what's the opposite of a Deus Ex Machina? Anyway, I'm sure Criterion had a good reason for putting the butchered American version onto their set. Like, I bet it's the right thing. But thankfully, the Japanese version is included as a special feature on the supplements disc.
Yeah, he doesn't even know. Like, for those who, it is a rights issue, but it says a lot where he says, "Oh, Criterion must have done something," and he doesn't even really have a declarative statement, in regards to why it was that way. But again,
I still do your research.
Yeah, please do your research. If you don't know something, that's fine. But like, if
you're making it
reach in the same video, you're trying to be informative and then trying to say this is for beginners.
So we're really critiquing the guy and his critique, I guess, of this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know we were on a roast.
Mothra versus Godzilla.
He hasn't said anything dumb. Like, he's not like Patrick Willems, where he's a meme factory every minute.
I imagine most modern audiences who are familiar with the Godzilla series by reputation alone might be surprised to see so much somber cynicism on display in the first 3 installments. Ain't these films supposed to be fun? Well, as a matter of fact,
this is where the fun begins.
Mothra vs. Godzilla is my favorite film of the entire Showa series. This is the film that works best absent any prior knowledge of the series. It's not banking on you recognizing some monster and then just coasting by until the nostalgia wears off. It's got a great dramatic flow, multiple crackerjack set pieces, a poignant message, female characters who are more than just window dressing, and
God!
Oh, good.
First, well, he already had some shitty points here, but this is the time his point went full retard, and this is going to be a reoccurring aspect in this video, so prepare yourself.
Okay.
Nothing really undermines Emiko in the first film quite like that.
Hang on.
Wow.
Let's get through his little review of this particular movie, and then we'll
okay.
I'll sink my teeth in.
and a
Yep.
scathing sense of humor that's as biting as anything you'll see today.
じゃあ何ですか。あなたたちはモスラの人情度を持ってらっしゃるとおっしゃるんですか。こいつはいいや。
But perhaps the thing that stands out most in my mind is that up until this point in the series, Godzilla had only ever been defeated by some necessary evil, be it the oxygen destroyer, a squadron of doomed fighter jets, or the serendipitous machinations of a cutthroat pharmaceutical company. But this is the first film of the series where an uncomplicated good finally defeats Godzilla. In this case, the benevolent insect goddess MOTHRA. And yet the film isn't some emotional lightweight. When Godzilla washes ashore after a typhoon and starts rampaging across Japan, a reporter, a photojournalist, and a professor traveled to Infant Island in order to seek Mothra's aid.
3人の者、何しに来た。実はモスラの力を借りに来たんです。
This despite the fact that a pair of greedy real estate developers have already taken one of Mothra's eggs hostage and have refused to give it back. The humans beg for help from Mothra's emissaries, the Shobijin twins, knowing full well that Mothra's got absolutely no incentive to help. And indeed, while the twins are certainly sympathetic, they quickly refuse to assist. But when Mothra herself hears of the humans' plight, she decides she's going to try and stop Godzilla, knowing full well that the effort will kill her whether she's victorious or not. Huh, would you look at that? Another example of one of my all-time favorite narrative tropes. Humans are terrible, but we gotta try and save them anyway. $1960.
All right. Adam, you want to take a shot at this first?
Yeah, this is one of the best entries in the entire franchise, bar none. And it hits on so many more things than he gave it credit for. Like the biggest one being capitalism and how like capitalism in a unbalanced, unrefined, unkept way. I guess I'm not finding the right word that I want to use here, but basically, when you have people, when you leave capitalism unchecked by greedy corporations or just greedy entrepreneurs, you get what happens in this film. You see the sacrifice of something that was beautiful and basic, a god or deified or whatever. You see something sacrifice itself to save capitalism. Like this whole thing is against capitalism, really. That's what to me anyway, that's what this whole movie speaks out against, is capitalism.
I think the reason why I've never felt the film was particularly a critique of capitalism. I always thought it was a critique of greed, because I would say the system as a whole isn't fully condemned, and there are people within the system who benefit from the system and use the system to their advantage, because the scientists, the news crew, they use their resources in an effective and, as he likes to put it, benevolent way to stop a greater threat. That's what I would say.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. That's what.
Yeah,
like, I'm not saying that this movie says capitalism is bad. What it's saying is capitalism is bad when it's left unchecked. So it shows you both sides.
Yeah,
the side that's bad is the one that's pulling that. Go ahead, sorry.
Like Mothra versus Godzilla, it's not anti-capitalism as a whole. It's anti-extreme capitalism, a specific type of how it goes.
Mm-hmm. And I would also like. It's ironic that he says that this is a film that you don't need a lot of prior knowledge to get into this movie, which I'd say is true to a degree. But then also, he classes Mothra as like a fully benevolent good, although she does in like her first film appearance trash Japan and probably killed a ton of innocent people who did not deserve to die. But again, I don't like the fact that he undermines Emiko from the first movie, because it is her choice and her initiative that does kind of cause Serizawa to finally use the oxygen destroyer. And I, of course, like that choice inevitably causes him to sacrifice his life for the greater good. But again, it was
greater good.
Yeah, the greater good. But again, it's her agency in the first film that I feel it's really weird that he talks about how much he loves female characters. Doesn't really mention Emiko aside from calling her Serizawa's ex-fiance. Again, it does not seem consistent to me.
Well, it comes to feminists like him, they like to bash them. They say they like women, but in the end, they actually like to bash a bunch of female characters, unless some of that female character suits their agenda in some way.
Oh, I can't wait till we
don't-
get the Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah, they really don't seem like they like have much of a like criteria for critiquing things. They just kind of like, if it suits their narrative, they'll say, "Oh, this is great," or if it doesn't, they'll be like, "Oh, this is insufficient. This doesn't reach the bar."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like how the dumb SJW social justice warriors go around saying that the first one Star Wars that was actually good and strong isn't the Disney shit. But no, Princess Leia and Padme, Ahsoka, and a bunch of other female characters were good and strong. Just the thing is, why they ain't fond of them is because they didn't have any stupid hidden agenda behind them. Feminists, those types, anyway, not all feminists, but third wave feminists like him, will pretty much they don't like well done female characters. They like bland, poorly written Mary Sue female characters.
Yeah. They and most of what I've noticed is that most of like the most effusive feminists are white dudes. Are a bunch of white dudes.
Yes.
With a lot of CD paths. But neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's ironic too, is a lot of the idiotic feminists are fucking white men.
Yeah, the supposed like demon of the left, or at least the far left crazies.
Yeah.
Yeah. On to GHIDORAH.
Yeah, the far
Or
left.
again,
Because I do have
GHIDORAH, the three-headed monster. Toho invents the monster cinematic universe. So by 1964, Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan had all starred in their own standalone.
Again, tries to paint like Godzilla as like a burgeoning, amazing franchise, and then they did not capitalize it right away, but then mentions both Mothra and Rodan right here because it's somewhat relevant to this. And again,
I'm gonna wait because he's talking about my favorite Godzilla movie of all time.
okay.
So I'm gonna wait until I hear everything he has to say before I wish I could reach through the computer and beat the shit out of him.
Alone feature film, all of them directed by Ishiro Honda, and Mothra had even made an appearance in a Godzilla film, or rather, Godzilla had appeared in a Mothra film. The only thing left to do was to bring them all together into the same film. But three kaiju teaming up dictated the creation of a villain that could conceivably best them all in combat. So Toho created one of the few monsters that, as of this recording, has never once teamed up with Godzilla, making him his canonical arch-nemesis. I'm referring, of course, to the eponymous, the titular, the cognominative GHIDORAH the three-headed monster. Perhaps even more significant, this marks the first time Godzilla served as a hero of a film, albeit something of a reluctant anti-hero. In a move that was probably only accidentally copied by the Avengers, our begrudged hero before they finally realized
Accidentally copied by the Avengers. What?
Actually, now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it,
Well, here's what he also says
one
here.
incidental story element that shows up in both films. Poor Mothra has to confront GHIDORAH all by herself and get her ass kicked before reinforcements finally arrive, which also happened to Tony when he went to confront Loki all by himself.
This ignores the
That
fact
is such a fucking stretch, dude. Oh my god.
also that ignores the fact that remember Cap fought Loki first before Iron Man. And it's weird that he mentions this scene near the end of the movie when a similar situation happened in Germany. But again, I don't again, he gives this outlandish take, but then he dials it back. So here's what he also has to say after this. Just wait.
Now, I'm not seriously suggesting that the Avengers went and copied Godzilla. I actually think something much cooler happened. Filmmakers working on separate continents almost half a century apart both replicated similar story beats in order to produce catharsis. Just one teeny tiny...
Oh.
That's wrong. They did copy Godzilla. Most of the people who worked on the MCU were fans of Godzilla. That's all Hollywood does is copy shit and not make original stuff. The whole fact that the MCU exists is testament to that because they just copy characters from fucking comic books. This guy needs to get off YouTube. He's pissing me off already. Sorry.
Oh,
fun fact, did you know
and why I find
Did you
myself
know
coming
Darth
back.
Vader was actually based off of Tokusatsu villain GHIDORAH?
What?
Anyone know that
Joey, you're still on Jupiter.
Anyone know that the Darth Vader was actually based off of the Tokusatsu villain Hikaido from the Tokusatsu series by Toei?
Well, I know he was
Kikaido.
based on like that, and then of course like Doctor Doom from Marvel. Like Vader had a bunch of influences to him, but like again, a lot of places have a lot of influences, and I think it's weird that anyone would say like, oh, this definitely did not influence, unless someone overtly says it was not influenced by this. But
yeah.
Anyway.
金星人だと言っていたのでしょう。
そうです。その時の精神状態は確かでしたし。
Invasion of Astro Monster.
Okay.
Let's take another crack.
Okay, hang on. Stop.
Yep.
All right. So he like blew over the fact that this is one of the very few movies. First off, this isn't a. He did touch on one thing that I think a lot of people overlook is the fact that this is a Ghidorah film featuring Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan, not a Godzilla film with Ghidorah in it, because the title says it all. But like the plot of this movie, the concept of the movie, the fact that you have a monster. He didn't even talk about how Ghidorah was based off of Orochi. He's not going into any of the history of where these monsters come from or anything. Like, this guy's a joke.
Well, again, I just want to say he kept on prefacing the video with, "Oh, old Godzilla stuff are just nostalgia-driven love fest," or brief, like quirky plot synopsis.
This is actually worse. This is a vapid shotgun.
Yeah, it's a vapid. He could. Here's the thing. He could have literally just separated this into 2 parts. Hell, 3 parts would have been fine as well. Like.
National film market by producing just one Godzilla film that works just as well in both the US and Japan. So where King Kong versus Godzilla was basically one
This
film,
is essentially a CinemaSin style.
the US and Japanese market.
Yeah,
One
essentially.
of them, not so good. Invasion of Astro Monster was a very conscious attempt at creating just one film that wouldn't need to be reshot or re-edited in order to succeed in both markets. And it worked. The film was a hit in both countries. But there's a bit more to it than that. The story follows a pair of astronauts, one American and one Japanese, who come in contact with a race of aliens that ask to borrow Godzilla and Rodan in order to defeat GHIDORAH on their home planet. The humans agree, and the aliens quickly transport Godzilla and Rodan to their planet in order to kick GHIDORAH's ass.
今度は勝手が違うようです。無論この計画の成功は地球の協力あってです。
But after GHIDORAH is seemingly defeated, and the astronauts are sent home with what they're told is a cure for cancer, the aliens reveal it was all a ruse.
AKA Big Pharma.
They actually plan to use all 3 kaiju to destroy the Earth if humanity doesn't submit to their rule. Now, the first time I saw this movie, I didn't like it. None of it made sense. If the aliens don't need humanity's permission to take control of Godzilla and Rodan, which is made explicitly clear at one point,
つまり自分の意思を電子計算機に記憶させ、思い通りコントロールさせ。その通りです。機械だけでなく動物にも応用できますか？できる。
why bother asking for permission in the first place? Why this elaborate horse and pony show where you stage a fake fight that accomplishes absolutely nothing? Why not just deliver your ultimatum right from the start? You could literally start the movie at the 59-minute mark.
Yeah, what's up?
This dude has obviously not seen V.
Like, once he here's his big critical analysis take in a few seconds. We'll get to it.
That would play out in the exact same way. But the more I thought about it, and the more I read up on Japanese history, the more it reminded me of post-World War II American interventionism. If you interpret it that way, suddenly the plot makes a lot more sense. The aliens' pedantic nice guy ruse could be compared to the period of time right after the war when America went through the diplomatic formality of having Japan sign a new constitution, even though they didn't even let them write the damn thing. That's a fascinating metaphor with particularly meaty implications that I think are well worth exploring in film. I'm not saying the filmmakers were actively trying to construct a metaphor, but the fact that there was such a recent historical precedent for that kind of false flag diplomacy is certainly fascinating. In fact, I think it's even more interesting if the filmmakers didn't do it intentionally. They still have complaints about the film, but at least none of them have anything to do with Godzilla's victory.
we'll stop it right there.
What did he say?
He said that I have a lot of problems with the film, but none of them have to do with Godzilla's victory dance.
No, I'm talking about Jupiter guy.
Oh yeah, Joey, what'd you say from Jupiter?
The theme of the movie, and this is a fact, it's foreign affairs. The movie is a political drama about foreign affairs.
Yeah, I can agree that there are thematically there is talks of like foreign affairs, but like specifically, like I don't know, it comes to the point where like there's a little bit of stretching. There are books and stuff that do go over like that being something that was present, but like
wasn't
this
the
same malicious nature that I think he's attributing to it is like not really there.
Wasn't this also released around the time that the space race was on?
Yeah, this was
Also-
the space race was going on. So again,
Also, another problem is the fact that a reading of a film does not immediately make the film good.
yeah.
The
This
plot
movie
structure comes
Also, like even if you have a reading of the film, authorial intent is indeed a thing.
Well, yeah, the thing
I
is,
like people don't really. That's why I don't take headcanon necessarily seriously, unless it's just for fun. But other than that,
a message is essentially a concept. And concept, you can take a good concept and make it bad. You can take a bad concept and make it good. Concept doesn't automatically equal execution.
and like, well, actually, he does go into like a flaw that he sees with the film. So let me keep going.
The aliens are defeated by this really anticlimactic sonic device that magically deactivates all their technology, which wouldn't be so bad. After all, we've seen plenty of technological MacGuffins work in other alien invasion films. But it
AKA 5G.
usually like a really fun set piece paired up with the activation of the magic alien killing device. Whereas the last reel of Astro Monster is basically just people running into the room and asking, "How's it going?" And then someone shouting back, "We're working on it," for 20 minutes straight.
But I would say, like, in the case of, like, the examples he showed, again, the big set piece isn't the activation device. The big set piece is going to be the final battle between Godzilla, Rodan, and King Ghidorah. So I think, like, splicing, like, what the humans are doing on the ground versus, like, the monster action, that's not bad. So I'm not sure, like, why this is a criticism for him, necessarily. So,
Because he doesn't have anything better to say.
or, like, he doesn't have a better criticism, even though he says there's
Yeah.
a lot of things wrong with the film.
Because he's trying.
Seems like he's just desperately looking for something to complain about. That's what I'm saying.
Or to keep the runtime of his video long, so he can keep adding more mid ads,
Yeah, there
mid ad roll.
There was a mid ad when I first played this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I guess
Okay.
it's so much metaphor, but so little dramatic tension. This one's ripe for a remake.
Well, I mean, the dramatic tension was that Ghidorah, Rodan, and Godzilla were gonna, like, again, destroy a bunch of human cities. But I can't with this dude sometimes.
Yeah, he's ultimately all he's doing is justifying his own existence by reading way too much into a film, as well as just making stuff up.
He's like Monster Island and Professor Otaku.
That again, yeah, it's really weird.
EBIRAH, Horror of the Deep, 1966. Let's see if we can copy paste Godzilla into someone else's movie.
What?
So that's a mighty pithy take on what I actually think is a really fun film. But it's true. EBIRAH, Horror of the Deep started life as a King Kong sequel. It was only changed to Godzilla after American studio Rankin and Bass, yes, that Rankin and Bass, passed on the script, and TOHO subsequently picked it up. This might explain why 90% of the film takes place on an island in the South Pacific instead of mainland Japan. Also, why Godzilla is revived by a bolt of lightning, which had only previously happened to Kong in King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Well, I mean, like, that whole bit is because originally that film, Godzilla vs. King Kong, was supposed to be Godzilla vs. Frankenstein. So that was when they copy-pasted King Kong into someone else's movie, which was originally King Kong versus Frankenstein. Again, it's really weird that, like,
Kong isn't a
put
kaiju.
in a little bit more.
Kong,
It's really weird that he brings this
Frankenstein?
up. Yeah, so originally Willis O'Brien pitched the idea of Frankenstein versus King Kong, and then a producer picked up O'Brien's idea, then he sold the idea to Toho, and they decided instead of having King Kong in King Kong versus Frankenstein was going to be Godzilla versus Frankenstein, but then they changed it to Godzilla versus King Kong, which is then the film we finally get. But again, it's really weird that he'll do like research just for those little interesting little did you know for some things, but then not for other things. It's really weird and inconsistent, I guess.
Yeah, and like ultimately he's just shotgunning all of these videos without going into any depth.
Yeah, and the whole this was originally a King Kong film. Again, all the the nostalgia-driven or brief plot synopsis channels, all of them have done that. I hate his premise because he tries to set himself apart, but he's making all the same mistakes. It's makes him come off really smug.
Also, it's just like if you want to it's ultimately a self-defeating premise that he has set himself up as. He's just ultimately destroying his own arguments.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. This is because they're so short, he can't do much beyond give hot takes.
Exactly.
And also why there's a scene where Godzilla momentarily fixates on native woman Dio in a clear callback to the original King Kong, albeit to no effect whatsoever on the resulting plot. And that sort of sums up the movie as a whole. Absolutely anything can happen at any time, but not every instance of planting actually results in a payoff. Now I know I said this wasn't going to be just another plot summary video.
Okay, literally, he makes this big claim, but then doesn't elaborate on it, and then just goes on to his next point. Are we gonna see any elaboration on that? Because this film doesn't just do whatever it wants. There are
plot points. There's structure.
And nothing just comes out of the blue. For example, you could say, Mothra being in this film it just kind of happens, but in reality, the reason Mothra is in this film is because the evil organization in this film are kidnapping her worshippers from her island, and then the people who are still on their island are praying to Mothra, who's sleeping in the film, to rescue them. And then obviously there is a message from he's selling the film really short, but he says the film is fun. I don't get why there's so much inconsistency with his points here.
I think what's funny is if any social justice warriors actually paid attention to this movie, this is all about human trafficking. That's what this movie is mostly about.
Oh my goodness, this guy sometimes.
It's he's not in touch with the world.
I will still take this. I would still take this video over his Sorry in Cinema review.
Yeah, yeah. Again, definitely.
Because
that's really bad.
Yeah, it's that one is basically the unholy bastardized AIDS-ridden love child of Patrick Willems and Maggie Mayfish.
Maggie's it's crazy. That's what she is.
Yeah, she looks like a serial killer. She has the eyes of a serial killer.
I need to make a meme out of that for the channel.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is in the South Pacific, with all lives presumed lost. But then the brother of one of the crew members is told by a local psychic that his brother's actually still alive. So he convinces some guys he meets at a local dance marathon to stow aboard a yacht, which turns out to be occupied already by a local bank robber. You with me so far? The brother then sails the ship out to sea while the rest of them are asleep, whereupon they're attacked by the giant mutant lobster EBIRAH and wash up on an island that's headquartering a terrorist organization. After joining forces with a local native woman and eluding the terrorists, they find Godzilla hibernating on the island, whom they promptly revive with a bolt of lightning, like you do, only for him to be attacked by EBIRAH, a giant condor, and then a squadron of fighter jets set to 1960s surf pop. See what I mean when I say that absolutely anything can happen at any time? We haven't.
No, that's not anything happening at any time. That's simple plot progression. And
There's
then like
random stuff.
Kaiju Noir in the chat, he says he didn't meet them at the dance contest. Those were his friends. Like I will say, Andres, that is overlooked in the dub. They aren't specifically said to be his friends in the dub. But what's even worse is that he's using footage from the sub, so he should know better anyway. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just seems as though he just doesn't know it.
No, he's just going at it.
Are up to bad thing. Who's this Dr. Crow person? Get out of here with your retarded assumption of this movie. Look, this whole scene that he's got it paused on shows you human trafficking, like the essence of it in this movie. Like, stop being a moron.
Like I would say, like it definitely like the film does talk about it, but like again, most of Crash's takes are just out there. But like, yeah.
I've never really done this type of thing before, but if I click on the chat button so I can read the comments, that would do anything, correct?
Done it now.
You'd have to go to the YouTubes. Yeah.
I love how Godzilla and Scrye Productions said this guy makes Dangerville look smart.
Dangerville.
Yeah.
I should really talk with this accent for the rest of the entire video, but no, I won't.
I know, dude. Oh my god, this guy is saying Mothra is saving. Listen, look.
No. He's confused. He's confused because we've been going at it for a little bit. No, the Red Bamboo are the ones who were capturing Islanders, not Mothra in this case. So
yeah, I think that what he's saying, like he is surprised that the far left crazies are not reading like anti-human trafficking angles into this movie is what he is saying. He's not saying that he is reading it into the movie. He is saying that he is surprised that the far left crazies haven't done it. Is that correct, Dr. Crow?
Well, and then also Adam too, yeah. But
no, he's Dr. Crow's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, go what you saying. Okay.
What I was saying is that this movie is like the whole plot of the Islanders being kidnapped and taken to work against their will and other things that we don't see happening, but then they don't even really allude to. So I'm kind of stretching it there. But the fact that these Islanders are being kidnapped and taken to an island to do something is human trafficking.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And then Mothra being here to save her people is, extraction.
Liberation. America. Yeah, no, just a small misunderstanding, but
yeah. Dumb game. Bit of a game of incomprehensible telephone going on.
Exactly. Yeah, no harm done.
3 yet. The movie's got this frenetic madcap energy that really sets it apart from some of the more moody entries in the series. But not every plot point actually goes somewhere. Like there's a scene where the bank robber picks a lock, but then the fact that he's a bank robber is just never brought up again.
Because like what purpose would, again, that's just part of his character. Not everything needs to be followed up on in a film.
Exactly, that's just a small point. You already get that he's a fucking
he's a thief.
Yeah.
He's a fucking thief. They don't need to shove it in your goddamn face.
And we don't need the film, what's going on in the film does not need to relate to him specifically being a thief. He's not even really the main character of the film. He's a supporting character.
This guy who's reviewing this is a prime case of I only know American film. Like he doesn't understand that you don't have to say this is Batman 5 times in the movie. We know he's Batman. He's wearing a cape. He's got bat ears.
Well, looking at the video, he doesn't even know American film, but
Oh no. He doesn't know Jack.
Satisfying conclusion, where both the humans and Godzilla have to escape the island before it blows up. It's riffing on secret agent films at the time.
Clearly.
Also worthy of note here is that this is the first film in the series directed by Jun Fukuda, who'd go on to direct 4 more Godzilla films, second only to Ishiro Honda in terms of total output. Fukuda reportedly never liked a single one of his own Godzilla films, but was pleasantly surprised that so many others did. As a YouTuber who can barely sit through any of his earliest videos, I have no choice but to stand. Son of Godzilla.
I'm gonna say here. He said Jun Fukuda was just yes. Jun Fukuda did not like his films at first and was surprised that so many people liked them. But on his deathbed, after reading all the fan letters to him, he actually he loved his movies when he was down. On his deathbed, he started to love his movies after reading all the fan letters that was given to him.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Fukuda stands quite a bit in this film, and like he says so as much, and then like he kind of like backhands most of these films. Like he'll do so in Son of Godzilla as well. But again, let's get into it.
1967. What if we made a monster fight where who wins and who loses isn't the only thing at stake?
I mean, I already see a problem here, but let's just keep going.
8 films into any film franchise, and I imagine you're just trying to come up with something. Anything that hasn't been done before.
I want to punch this guy in the dick.
But I like to think that the first film in the series where which monster wins and which monster loses isn't the only thing at stake.
Well, I mean, in GHIDORAH, there was, the whole thing with the princess. It was that. And then same thing in this.
Yeah, he's doing what the majority of like the general audience in the West does to these films. Like he is a spitting, shining example of the vast majority of people that don't know shit about what they're watching.
It's disgusting.
Like I don't get why he says I'm gonna stand Fukuda, and then he says this right after.
Also, another problem is like in that Monster Zero or whatever.
Yeah.
Where he was saying the livelihood of that particular planet is at stake.
Yeah.
It's like, so that's also that also fell this criteria. So he has very much weakened his own argument in regards to this one.
And we could also say that, like, what happened to Osaka between Godzilla and Anguirus all the way back in 1955 with Raids Again, the first film to feature a monster fight, had something other than, I wonder which monster's going to win. Oh no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
In the film, Godzilla is drawn to an island in the South Pacific by the hypersonic cries of a little baby Godzilla, who's busy getting his ass kicked in next Sunday by the local wildlife just as soon as he's hatched. And it's like, we all know Godzilla's going to thrash the mantids and the giant spider and ultimately save the little guy's life. But are they going to become friends too? It isn't a given. This ain't no Baby Yoda, where the hero instantly takes some cute little critter under his wing and pledges to defend it with his life. Manila is profoundly grotesque, and Godzilla is a certified asshole of legend. The fact that this movie gets me to sympathize with this little odd couple at all is a feat in itself, but the fact that I would gladly give my life for this whiny little trash goblin is nothing short of extraordinary.
Okay, hang on. That's probably the most accurate description of any monster he's given so far in this film. Sorry, continue.
Oh no, but like what I find weird is that like he mentions Baby Yoda. Dunn, have you watched The Mandalorian at all?
Yep, I have watched the whole thing.
Well, like again, I don't. The issue is that like the reason why the Mando in that film or in the TV show specifically was caring for the Baby Yoda was specifically because of his past related to his character. So, like, I don't understand why he's trying to say, like, oh, this is so different. No, it's in keeping with both Godzilla and then the Mando's character to act the ways they are towards the respective babies of the film and TV show, respectively. Like, it just seems like he really wanted to mention Baby Yoda and then the Star Wars in this, like, review here, but I don't know.
How could you not love something so irredeemably punchable? It's probably no coincidence that this is the first film in the series where I have a hard time remembering what any of the humans are up to while the monsters are fighting. Something cure for world hunger? Other experiments?
Then watch it again.
As well as also the weather experiments are exactly why the giant mantises are called Kamacuras and then Kamunga was the giant spider. But like the reason why the mantises get as big as they are in the film is because of the weather experiments. And of course, like what was going, like I don't get this either because, again, what the humans were doing directly create a new problem for themselves, and then because of the weather experiments, they have to the mantises obviously go looking for Minya, which then causes Godzilla to appear. Their entire base gets scrapped, so they have to find a new location. Again, everything connects, and I don't get why he's trying to say, "Oh, the humans don't matter."
Because the humans never matter in a Godzilla movie.
Yeah, but
God
like
damn
again, he's trying to make it friendly for beginners, guys. It's not like we've got actual Toku focused channels who are even watching this video right now that do a good enough job. But again,
Like,
we
my
really need them film majors.
I hate to sound like a gatekeeper here, but this guy does not know jack shit about what he's talking about.
I mean, like,
That's
it's
not
obvious he's done some basal research, but like other than that, it's like go and explain your points. So like, no.
Sometimes, and this sounds maybe a little bit, I don't know what the word is, but it sounds, yeah, maybe elitist, but sometimes I feel like people like this guy who has probably never created a film or any kind of piece of art in his entire fucking life and just criticizes shit should be like put in a prison somewhere with lead walls all around so he can't be heard or nothing can affect him. Because like, how can you critique something if you've never created anything to begin with? This guy's probably never written a story or a short story for that matter, never drawn anything, never actually made a film himself, even if it's a piece of crap. He's probably never done anything, and yet I don't know how many subscribers this guy have, like 100,000?
More than me.
That's ridiculous. This is
127K.
Wow.
Less videos than I have.
Wow. There's so much better YouTubers that are much smaller than him.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Smudboy only has like 2K. Or
Shiny's got like only like 200.
300.
Oh, 300.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
300. Hey, he's getting close to me now.
I feel like I'm just saying, like, I feel like if you're gonna be a critic on something, as a prerequisite, you have to have created some sort of piece of art that can be criticized yourself. So that way you can really understand where and how to criticize something instead of literally. This guy has literally made this video for the ad revenue, for the link. Like anyway.
And again, I would not be as upset about it if he didn't make his little bash against people who had already done reviews on the Godzilla series. Like if he hadn't done that, I probably would have left the video alone. But especially because I know people who are in the kaiju community, or like people who aren't specifically Godzilla fans, but like put a lot of effort into making the videos analyzing like what's going on and the background information. It feels super disrespectful. But
yeah. Make nostalgic critic look good. That's funny.
At least they let the local native woman put some pants on this time around.
Okay, pause the video there.
Oh my God.
Misogynistic dickhead.
But it's like, wow, there's one time they have a native woman who's been enslaved and they don't have a change of pants for her. Wow, that's really you really needed that. Like,
what was
you
Jupiter
can't go
gonna
into
say?
points, but like native women really needed those pants.
It's basically like they think that any kind of revealing of the female form is sacrilege.
Yeah, the thing is about
and they don't take into account plot logic.
Yeah, the thing is, the guy here is dumb because he's assuming misogynism, which, first of all, sexualization is not sexist. Second about this whole thing is he didn't mention anything about the fucking Mothra natives, both male and female, being more revealing than any native.
The Faroe Island natives from
the Faroe Island.
Godzilla 2 was also like that.
Yeah,
the only time they weren't super revealing was in Odo Island, which was in the first Godzilla movie. And that was because like it was they were closer to the mainland anyway, and they were like more like Japanese in that sense. They weren't supposed to be like just natives.
Yeah. Not only is he not considering anything about the plot here, or even he's also having a major double standard because He ain't saying anything about when a man is dressed more revealing than the female character in the previous film. But when it's a woman, it's like, oh, this is a problem.
And like even in like the previous film, Dio wasn't really sexualized in a sense. Like all the native women in EBIRAH Horror of the Deep were clad like that, and they weren't made to like be tantalizing. And even like Kimi Mizuno, who plays one of the Exilians in Invasion of Astro Monster, like she obviously she is appealing as like a person, as a woman, but like again, she isn't sexualized. There really isn't a precedent.
Yep, and even the things about it, like you can sexualize and there's nothing said. There's no one has a problem, but when it's done to a woman, they lose their shit. It's fucking.
And like also again. And the one time there was actual context for her to change her clothes, it's because, oh yeah, there's people, like, the research team has been living here. Of course they're going to have a change of clothes for her if she's going to be, like, working with these people. Unlike in EBIRAH, where they were stranded there, hiding. And then Andre says, also keep in mind that the female lead in Son of Godzilla isn't a native. She was a Japanese woman who was stuck on the island, so of course she didn't feel comfortable wearing Western clothes. Yeah, she was stuck on there as, like, a little girl, too.
This motherfucker needs to shut the hell up. Keep going. We still got half a video to go through.
Yeah.
And the budgets were only getting smaller.
Pew.
What? So I guess it's only natural that the screenplays found new ways to mine some emotion out of their stories like this.
That sounds so backhanded, but I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna say like I feel so backhanded.
1968.
Also, good job ruining that scene. I'm sorry, but that ruined the scene for me.
That
whole monsters.
That whole part, that whole ending of Son of Godzilla is probably the most emotional part in any Godzilla movie I have ever seen. I mean, like, get you in the heartstrings kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And like how the music plays, and just like, and like again, I thought this was for reviewers. Why are we playing up a really emotional scene for like a comedy bit? But you know, here's one of the I can't wait for us to discuss one of the things he says in Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm ripping that plate, you asshole.
Whoa. Go. Oh,
oh yeah, I can go back. Don't worry.
No. Just play it. I'll watch it on the YouTube.
Yep. No problem.
By 1968, the creative team at Toho was tired of making that guy. Screenwriter Shinichi Sekizawa openly complained about having no more ideas. Ishiro Honda had been directing 2 to 3 films a year for more than a decade. Special effects maestro Eiji Tsuburaya was in failing health, and the profits from each new installment were only getting smaller. So in 1968, Toho decided to go all out on one last special effects extravaganza before finally icing the franchise. A globe-trotting romp that features no fewer than 10 different monsters. 11 if you count Varen, but he's got even less screen time than Rose Tico. In my humble opinion,
wow.
Again, I every one of these jokes is like one of these tepid is again his premise ruins these jokes because again everyone makes the Varen joke. It's not special.
A little more than its pitch. Yet another race of silver-suited aliens. It's not a cliche this time, see, because now they're all women.
What did he say?
He said it's not a cliche because they're women this time.
Control Kaiju and attempt to conquer the world. A team of astronauts eventually destroy the aliens' mind control device, at which point they've all gathered on the slopes of Mount Fuji, whereupon the aliens unleash their secret weapon, GHIDORAH, in a last-ditch effort to try and finish them off. For all the hype, for all the build-up, the final fight of the movie ain't exactly the Battle of Helm's Deep.
So, I mean, yeah.
It's in the 60s, you idiot.
Yeah.
He was never gonna win. And why did the aliens wait until they were already on the ropes before they finally set them loose? None of it makes much sense. Not to mention the gender politics in this one get pretty weird.
Yeah.
All the aliens are female for some reason. And what's more,
Early in the film, they start mind controlling this one poor woman and force her to do their bidding until her boyfriend forcibly rips the mind control devices out of her earlobes, whereupon she falls back into this silent, subservient role for the rest of the film. Now, I know in the narrative he's effectively the mere optics of a dude forcing his romantic partner to submit to his will through an act of violence, and then to frame insulting silence and submission as a restoration of the proper order. I'm just saying, it's not cute.
Again, okay. Before anyone else goes, you want to know what upsets me more than anything else? He makes the point that all the Keylocks are female, and then there's the one image he shows. There's a male there. That was one of the other Monster Island people, like one of the team, because originally at the start of the film, Monster Island was controlled by a group of scientists who were there, male and female. What's it called? Kyoko is the female that he's talking about here, but like Kyoko is the only female that's there. But like all of them get knocked out, all the monsters get knocked out. That's how the Keylocks get control of them, and all the men who are working with the Keylocks are all mind-controlled Monster Island staff members, and this ignores the fact that like the lead male scientist throws himself out of a building, committing suicide for these people. And then, what's it called? Like in the first firefight of the movie, one of the mind-controlled scientists gets killed. More of them get killed. And then by the end of the movie, any of the remaining mind-controlled Monster Island scientists, they are never saved at all. Kyoko is the only scientist from Monster Island that was actually saved and is relevant to the plot. So, like, what does your gendered politics reading of the film mean for any of those people who died? Like, are they just disposable? Like, does it not register on your radar? I am sorry, but like, that is so disrespectful. Like, I don't want to like, I may sound madder than I really am. Like, wow.
Well, this guy is kind of crazy.
Okay, I want.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I want to get this out.
He worships the ground that Joshua David Bellin walks on, and that man is insane.
Jupiter speaking.
Yeah,
I want to get this out of the way. This point, okay, do I sound fine now?
Yeah, go.
This point he made makes me want to give him a fucking Batista bomb. Like, seriously, this point is so fucking retarded and was major reaching. Like, holy hell. The other points he made about sexism was dumb, but the reaching here. Oh my god, stop!
You know what he reminds me of, and this is gonna be like way off topic, but you know how like you have there's this new like this thing going around about how like To Catch a Predator, like he's obviously a feminist. That's why he keeps making these jokes, and he keeps making these cracks.
Videos, that's obvious, but
and people or especially females who watch this may agree with him, but the females won't realize that he's actually like a predator in disguise, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, and that's why he's even saying any of this stuff, because none of that actually matters. Like what he's saying, everything that he said about any of these movies with feminism or sexism or any of this kind, it's like it's so minuscule and unbelievably
like. Well, before I'm like the reason I wanted to stop on this one specifically is wow, does that ignore so much context, and it undermines the deaths of a lot of people in the film. And like the people who like die in the film, they never like get their sanity back. They died as mind controlled slaves, and one of them specifically like commits suicide because of it, like jumps out a window. It is, oh my goodness, wow. So dumb.
Yeah, it seems as though this guy is crazy.
And yeah, he is a feminist. Before this video, I jumped on his Twitter, and one of the things he uses in his description is he's a fucking feminist.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he also like a what is masculinity in film, but like neither here nor there.
If there's any ladies in the audience, stay away from this guy. He's bad news.
Yeah. He looks like, this is gonna sound mean as hell, but he looks like a fucking pedophile.
Like, again, I didn't really need to go into looks, but like again, the point, like just looking at his point, the point's dumb. It's really dumb, but let's keep going. Let's keep going through this.
Sorry.
You love
No
kids.
problem.
But that said,
No problem.
it's not like the film is worthless. I mean, I get why it has a cult following. It's nice to see the original filmmaking team back together and working with a bigger budget for the first time in years. It's certainly an exuberant watch. There's also this really triumphant moment near the end of the film where the humans are wondering how they're going to convince all the monsters to help fight off the aliens, only for them to do it all on their own because they can sense that the aliens don't belong here.
操縦装置がなくても戦ってるのねみんな。
動物の本能で敵がちゃんとわかるんだ。
It also features what is hands down my all-time favorite joke in the entire series.
はるか右下吉田町天元神社の森越しにゴジラかいやミイラです。
Oh, Manila. Do I love how much I hate you, or do I hate how much I love you? All Monsters Attack, 1969. Godzilla as kids movie. A self-reflexive, metatextual kids movie.
みんなだ。
Kids, do not care about metatext.
本当？人間みたいに嘘はつかないよ。
By all accounts, TOHO fully intended for Destroy All Monsters to be the last film in the series. Each installment had been returning smaller and smaller profits since the mid-1960s, and by the late 1960s, the Japanese film industry was on the brink of collapse. See, back in 1964, Tokyo had hosted the Summer Olympics, which was a massive deal for the country and everyone wanted to watch. So what happened was, almost everyone in the country all bought a TV, all at once. Japan didn't have the slow, gradual buildup of TVs like the United States did. Hollywood had some time to adapt to the new consumer entertainment landscape, but Japan did not. So where Hollywood's strategy throughout the 1950s and 60s was to produce bigger and bigger blockbusters in order to distinguish itself from TV, Japan just started producing films like episodes of television, with shoestring budgets and lightning-fast shooting schedules. Most film franchises quickly folded. Godzilla was one of the few that survived, but quality took a noticeable dip.
Obviously.
Mhm.
But even with these restrictions, each installment of the series continued the trend of proceeding from one core creative motivation, which makes all of them at least interesting, if not actually good. Don't let anyone tell you that these are the worst films of the series simply because of their budgets. My second and third favorite films of the entire Showa series are in here. Okay, so 1969. Destroy All Monsters just did paltry business at the box office, so Toho figured the series wouldn't stand a chance of making any more money. But then rival studio Daiei Film Company suddenly finds surprise success with the release of GHIDORAH, a kaiju film targeted specifically at kids. So Toho decided to produce a Godzilla film that catered specifically to children. And boy, did they ever. All Monsters Attack is
But
regular.
I just want to say, like, specifically, Gamera had already been out for a few years before Destroy All Monsters. Like, even Son of Godzilla came out in '67, and the third film, Gamera vs. Gauss, had come out in '67 the same year. So, like, Gamera had been out for a while now before All Monsters Attack was even a thing. So, I'm not sure why he's mentioning it here and not back when Son of Godzilla was coming out, but okay.
Oh, and something I'd like to restrict relative to the point that's made here, but I forgot to state this earlier, but you know what really bothers me about him screaming misogyny about these movies? It's not just the movies calling misogynistic. He's calling the filmmakers, actual people, misogynist.
Yep.
He is insulting me.
Well,
so that's my problem here. It's not the movie.
To be fair, though, that's not 100% inaccurate.
Yeah, for the, like, obviously there were the times were the times. We can't argue that, but like,
no.
Again, like where he's
They still
implying it
are.
is still not. It's
Yeah, where he's implying it's wrong.
Right.
Also, honestly, like, dude, have you seen a Michael Bay movie? Michael Bay movies are far more misogynistic than this.
yeah, like please don't don't reach.
This
Exactly.
is benign. This is benign, just exclusion of female characters. There's no, and it's just utterly benign. They
Oh,
just
you might
weren't writing
something
much.
later on, but we'll get to it when we get there.
Oh dear.
The entire series, with no less than 6 review sites ranking it dead last, including IMDb. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not bad, so much as very, very different. It's basically Home Alone with kaiju. Also like a metatextual commentary on kaiju films themselves. The story follows this little latchkey kid, Yukio, who lives in poverty and almost never sees his parents.
I hate it when they say metatextual in order to justify a film being good.
Half the film is made up of these daydreams of his, and they're very often
Half the film? The whole fucking film, you piece of shit.
previous Godzilla fights replayed from other films.
Yeah.
Although I do think,
With the exception of like Menya's fights and then one
sidelines
Godzilla
cheers
fight,
on his
yeah, they're
hero in
all
much the same way that
all
little
from other
kids might
films.
very well rewatch their favorite kaiju films. See, it's not stupid. It's just self-reflexive.
I want to punch this guy in the dick twice.
By the end of the film, the kid gets, kidnapped by bank robbers, but then he uses the lessons he learned while daydreaming about Monster Island to defeat them.
Oh
Yes,
my
it's
gosh, that's just stupid.
weird. But you can't say the film doesn't know exactly what it is.
大人の世界に神様があるように、子供の世界にミニラ大名人があってもおかしくないでしょ。
And we have Ishido Honda on record as saying that this was one of his all-time favorite Godzilla films. If for nothing else, All Monsters Attack gave us the single greatest rendition of Go-Go Godzilla.
Well, before he goes into this little gag, I think like probably one of the main reasons why Honda liked working on this film more than any of the other films was because it wasn't a traditional kaiju film in the sense of like what he had done for like so many years since '54. Because he'd worked with a variety of monsters, a variety of plots, and this one definitely is a lot different. And I would say like there's a lot more stuff on record showing there is subtext that can be pulled from the film, but like he doesn't go into it. He just kind of does again a plot summary, which is exactly what he condemned at the start of his video. But let's get this gag out of the way, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Ever recorded.
It's ultimately so short.
No, not that Go-Go Godzilla. There we go. Godzilla vs. GHIDORAH, 1971. Godzilla as protector of Japan.
All these things are so short.
Most modern audiences probably
This is
think
like
was the perennial good guy, not just
how many has he covered?
His frontline defense against giant.
How many has he covered at this point? Like, just is it like 3 to 5 minutes?
He's done 10 films so far. He's on the 11th right here with Hetero.
Okay, so it's 3 minutes per film.
Yeah,
His Jurassic Park video was 10 times this length, and that was just on a single film.
Mm-hmm.
So he's ultimately like, this thing is so shotgunny and shallow that he can't really
He's got
even
5 more
fulfill
films to go through too. So
yeah, he can't fulfill his premise.
yeah, he just kind of goes from point to point, and like he keeps saying this is all for beginners, but again, he's doing the exact same thing that he's complaining other people are doing, and he's not giving better context. It's if anything, it's giving everything a much worse impression.
If people want to,
He's like just right.
to everyone's audience here,
What?
to everyone watching, I want you to get it.
What was that?
To everyone watching this live,
I still didn't catch that.
You keep breaking up, dude.
Yeah, sorry, man.
sorry, am I?
Try now.
Am I? Okay. If people to people watching this live stream, if you want to watch a video for beginners that Godzilla, watch James Routh's fucking video. It's light years better than this one.
Yeah, I mean, like James still criticizes the films, but like he doesn't try. He fills the stuff with gags that like are funny, but they don't undermine good points of the films.
James knows what he's talking about.
We're like
Where
if you want to like get into Godzilla Go to Up from the Depths, again, Monstrosities is there. There's a lot of other like kaiju focused channels that aren't just for fans. But
yeah, this is very much like this is kind of a nothing burger video. He hasn't like gone into any depth, and he hasn't said much like of substance in this, and he hasn't said anything crazy either. He's just vague.
Oh no, he said crazy stuff. It's just like it's very few and far between, and it doesn't underpin the entire video.
Yeah, it's just the stupid sexism comment in regards to the lady getting her mind control devices pulled out. It's just like, no, that's just how they decided to write it. There's no deeper meaning. a banana is just a banana and a cigar is just a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, of course, it's filled with...
As we now know, having reviewed the first 10 films of the Godzilla series, it wasn't actually until the 11th installment that he finally fulfilled this role, when alien pollution monster GHIDORAH rises up out of the sea to feed on...
Hey, he got it right.
Godzilla promptly makes a beeline for the monster with absolutely no goal but to destroy it before it can kill any more people. What follows is several exciting fights and one of the longest final act battles of the entire series, complete with multiple twists and dramatic reversals within the fight itself, something that all the better entries in the series have done well to copy. When I was doing research for this video, I was
you did
surprised
research.
to find that a lot of people don't like this one. I guess because there's one very brief scene, really just a shot, where Godzilla flies.
No, that's not. That's not the reason why people dislike the film. A lot of people actually love that scene. This is coming from someone whose girlfriend who also does Godzilla YouTube. This is her favorite film in the franchise. Again, this isn't why people dislike the film, but okay.
Hey, I have to give him credit. At least he got Ghidorah's monster right. It is a space monster, and most people don't realize that.
Yeah, I've noticed that actually.
Most people don't realize Ghidorah is another space monster.
Or maybe because the young male protagonist gets his ass killed just as soon as he tries to take on the monster himself.
No, that's not. No one's ever.
Oh my
no one's ever
goodness,
said that.
wow.
Most people don't even remember his character. Like they remember him as being
that guy.
That guy, the guitar guy, or the dancing boyfriend. Like no one was like, oh my gosh, I'm so mad that like my masculinity projection got killed. No, that's never been.
That's really stupid.
Okay, I love this movie. Oh God. Oh, I'm not breaking apart, am I?
No, you're actually pretty good from your space station.
Okay. Okay, well, someone who loves this movie and considers it a great movie, I can safely speak for the people who don't like the movie that that's not why they hate it. They have more valid points than that. The characters in general, most people see as weak. So the thing is, nobody cares that that woman survives. Just, my God.
Like a lot of people say, like the film's a little bit goofy, and like a lot of people are really consistent. Like they don't like GHIDORAH, they don't like Megalon, they don't like Gigan to agree. They like a lot more of the serious films, and like they don't mind a little bit of cheese here and there. That's one thing. Or like some of the more psychedelic elements that were common in this film, they don't like that either. They think it's weird. They're entitled to have that opinion. This is the idea of this character right here dying has never been an issue.
Exactly. Nobody cared.
General audiences, like, and again, why are you making this for the general fans? This, wow, and especially someone frames it because now he's like, especially if someone who's never seen the franchise or not in the fandom watches this, they would like, and they're easily persuaded by him. They're gonna think, oh wow, Godzilla fans don't like it because this guy dies, and then they'll like never. This may not even want them to get into Godzilla if like something like that, like this kind of discourse really affects them. Like, wow, that does so much harm.
I just want to say, stay in your lane.
I actually read the comment section of the video, and it saddens me that so many people that watch that video have not seen the franchise. Because now they have this dude's retarded perspectives getting stuck in their freaking heads.
Hey now, don't disrespect retarded people. This guy's way worse.
Yeah. Like, again, of course, like we're not. It's
honestly
so
like
upset by like wow, that does so much harm.
Yeah,
To, like discourse, and like it paints such a bad view.
Exactly.
Like that's poisoning the well if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, this feels like this, even though like he's not making like the exact same arguments, this seems like the same kind of like points and argumentation that a lot of people made around like, you don't like The Last Jedi because the masculine characters got humiliated, and the Leia flying scene was looked weird.
Yeah, it's like
almost exactly
the same as you. And like whenever someone tries to explain it to these people, they like aren't listening, it seems. I don't get it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, there's probably gonna be people out here that sees this stream and go that, oh, they're only trashing this guy because he disagrees. No! I love this movie, and I'm actually defending the people who don't like this movie from this guy!
Yeah, like again, and like even again, I maybe to like co-op my girlfriend's female quote unquote perspective. I don't like I when I went to see her during New Year's, we watched both of our favorite Godzilla films, and obviously this was Hedera's her favorite, and we made a joke about it about him dying, but like we never put more thought into it. She never said to myself, I bet male fans don't like this film because he died. Like we were making jokes about him before as the film started, like the first scene with him and Ken. Like, come on, dude. And you said, I put a lot of research into why people don't like this film specifically.
No, you didn't. You
Wow.
liar.
Liar. Let's get back into the video.
Or because
That one song were perfect.
Or because the humans are so
No,
bad.
sorry,
We're
we're good for him.
I don't know. The complaints are rarely that specific. But as for me, this has always been one of my favorites. GHIDORAH's got a refreshingly threatening presence. This is the first film of the series since the original that shows any ground-level carnage.
That's also wrong, too, because Ghidorah did it. Raids again did it.
Godzilla's first movie did it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's
the original, so we can't count the original.
Dismissing the film.
Rodan did it. War of the Gargantuas. I'm not even including Godzilla films, like not just Godzilla films. I'm talking about Toho Kaiju films in general. Like again, really dismissive. I don't like it, and this is supposed to be for new fans.
I mean, just look at this. That's the shit that stuck with me since I was a kid.
Huh.
Not the flying. I almost called this one Godzilla as horror film.
Wait, he was a kid?
Oh,
I
no.
swear, he was just like created in a lab somewhere.
And it was Godzilla versus Gigan, 1970.
Oh, this is where some stretching
Let's see if we
happens.
can incorporate a theme, any theme, into every last facet of this film.
Oh dear.
ゴジラが現れましたね。ゴジラの出てくることは計画に入っている。
Let's say it's your job to plot the next Godzilla film. The studio is broke. They've looked in their warehouse, and the only three suits that are still wearable are Godzilla, Anguirus, and Ghidorah. So the next film has to include those three. They've got just enough money to design one more. The only other parameter they give you is that you have to incorporate a theme into as many facets of the production as possible. And the theme is deception. So you get to work.
Well, before he gets into theme, oh my goodness. Okay, so Varen was supposed to be in this film. Mogu, there was another character who was never made into any film. Mogu, like a dragon creature, was supposed to appear in the film. And there was another character called Majito in the film. It's really different in terms of like what it was supposed to like be. So like how he's describing it, that's not how it happens. Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me, Cold? Why do you do this to me, Cold Crash? Actually, Godzilla and Scrye Productions calls him Drug Man, so I'm gonna call him that from now on. Why do you do this to me, Drug Man?
It looks like he
Like, look at his eyes right now in this picture. Like the still image right now on screen. Look at him.
All right, chat. We need a meme ASAP.
I think
All right,
that
we can meme this.
also, kind of, if you notice carefully, I think that maybe he has had a brain aneurysm of some type because the left side of his face does not move.
I do not know, but like, wow, this is something.
You might say some sentient alien cockroaches start stealing the identities of missing persons so they can build what appears to be a theme park, which is in fact a rally point for two giant alien kaiju that they're going to use to destroy the Earth. Our hero is a manga artist, a deceptive manga artist, who gets wise to the aliens' plan and decides to lie his way to the facility so that he can help his friends destroy it. They continue to use
I like how he said deceptive manga artist. Way to slander the fucking anime and manga industry.
Fight GHIDORAH and that other monster the design. And well, if the theme is deception,
okay,
how about a biomechanical bastardization of Godzilla?
No, that's
oh come on!
No, that was ever designed to be.
Oh my god!
There's There's never any implication there was any like similarities between Gigan and Godzilla on a thematic level.
He said bastardized mechanical version of Godzilla. No, that's in the next that's 2 films after this.
Oh,
one.
trust me, he backhands Mechagodzilla really hard.
Oh my God.
But like again, here's his rationalization around Gigan being a bastardization of Godzilla.
A monster that possesses the same basic body plan, but bristling with unnatural buzzsaws and blades. Now you've got Godzilla versus Gigan.
But like, what does that mean for Baragon, Titanosaurus, Gorosaurus? Again, there's a lot of other monsters that share the similar body plan with Godzilla throughout the series.
Mostly because they're fucking humans playing them.
Yeah.
This guy.
They can't do a lot of the things that we can do with modern CGI.
Yeah, exactly. And like, what?
Maybe that's what he's wanting. Maybe here's what we should do for this guy, just so he'll quit bitching. Let's remake every Godzilla movie with modern special effects. How's that sound, everybody in the chat? Let's remake all 30s, however many there are, except for the last one because it was balls like crap.
I don't know. Like, what is that? Like, now I'm thinking, what does that mean for, I'm just thinking specifically, I know Adam isn't a big Ultraman fan, but Joey, what's it called? Does that mean that all the reptilian kaiju that were in Ultra Galaxy are, like, bastardizations of Gomorrah on a thematic level?
Yes.
Like,
I don't even know.
One minute, my little brother's driving me crazy. Can you repeat that and give me the context?
Well, what's it called? He's saying that because Gigan shares the same body plan as Godzilla, but has different origins, that makes him thematically, he's just a thematic bastardization of Godzilla. So with Ultra Galaxy, because Gomer is the main monster of that TV show, all the reptilian monsters that share his body plan are also somewhat bastardizations in some way, according to him. But again, if there's one thing Smud and EFAP have taught us, it's that don't rely on themes to like carry you in your analysis.
Well, that's I'm not fading out or anything, right?
What'd you say?
I'm not fading out or anything, right?
Just a little here and there.
Okay, well, sorry for the late response. My 2 young siblings were annoying the fuck out of me, but
no problem.
When it comes to that question, no, it's fucking stupid. No, it is not like that.
Like this is a big stretch. This is a really huge stretch.
A lot of these guys are stretched. You know, most, if not all of them, are stretching. So.
Like what's it called? Well, Gigan doesn't even have a beam. He just uses like blades and stuff. So like, what does that mean? Like, and Godzilla, again, you have to like. There's so much you have to account for in this stretch. Like, wow, this dude must be really limber. But you know,
well.
Film that does its damnedest to incorporate a single recurring theme into every last aspect of the production, and regardless of the final results. I, for one, thoroughly appreciate the effort. One of my favorite things about a monster movie.
But something that's funny is how he appreciates the effort. I think the guy who did write this film had affiliations to the Japanese Communist Party, so maybe that's why he loves this film so much. But again, back to it.
Is when it incorporates an actual theme into the design of the monsters themselves. This is, after all, a genre that lives and dies by its rogues galleries. Themes like sexual taboos.
There he goes again!
Oh,
there he goes again!
Oh,
I'm over it!
Oh,
I'm over it.
Oh,
okay.
I'm seeing his Joshua David Bellin thing coming because Joshua David Bellin says that exact same thing.
Oh, ready? Here's the next one. Ready?
Of emasculation.
Let me
what?
Let me do that again.
Things like sexual taboos. The fear of emasculation.
Fear
for the acquisition of forbidden carnal knowledge.
That wasn't the theme of Starship Troopers.
Where some of the monster
okay,
designs
whatever.
in the Godzilla series feel disappointingly arbitrary. Gigan feels genuinely inspired. The matchup feels personal. It feels wrong to.
It's really weird that he like the moment he tries to go for an example, he goes for the bottom of the barrel and chooses GHIDORAH of all monster designs. But like, again, super low hanging fruit.
Turn over control of the planet to these two. One look and you just know they're not from around here.
I vote for outer space. No
This
way.
definition of taking his toy shovel.
Wait a second.
It was
Wait a
3
second.
That is
Let's back up a little bit. Back up a little bit. I didn't get to hear what he said.
Which one right up here?
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
The matchup feels personal. It feels wrong to turn over control of the planet to these two. One look and you just know they're not from around here.
I vote for outer space. No way these are local boys.
This is also the first time Toho beat GHIDORAH in a fair fight for once. It was 3-on-1 in GHIDORAH the Three-Headed Monster, 2-on-1 in Invasion of Astro Monster, and 10-on-1 in Destroy All Monsters. But now, it's finally 2-on-2, and for the first time, it really feels like Godzilla might actually lose. Or maybe not lose, but at least you're not sure how he's going to win.
It's my boy Geigen.
Well, I mean, like, what's it called? GHIDORAH. He says how there's so many dynamic twists and turns in GHIDORAH, but now he's saying like this is the one time you might think Godzilla might actually lose. Like, can you please be consistent across your video? I swear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I don't know sometimes.
Their money on explosive shower curtain mix-up.
Technology! Grand Pren!
Godzilla vs. Megalon, 1973. Let's rip off another successful franchise and make Godzilla the guest star of his own movie.
What?
So by 1973, Japanese film franchises were folding left and right. But over on TV, the adventures of Ultraman, the giant alien superhero, were generating big numbers. So Toho basically decided to make a feature-length Ultraman ripoff wherein a sentient robot jet jaguar faces off against the giant underwater cockroach monster Megalon.
He's not a cockroach!
And I guess they threw Billy Gigan for the brand recognition.
Well, no, they didn't throw Gigan and Godzilla in just for brand recognition. There were other scripts that had Megalon and Gigan. All of them already in there. Like, I don't get it. Also, I love how he doesn't even mention the fact that like the AG Tsuburaya, the guy who made Ultraman, was working on Godzilla for like years. So like essentially he could make a really interesting point and then he just wastes it on like a joke. Like, I don't know.
Godzilla vs. Megalon leans into the cheese hard. It's easily the goofiest entry in the series. People will tell you that's why it's also one of the worst, but honestly, I think the cheese factor is one of the few things it has going for it. It distinguishes it. People will warn you about the infamous flying kick.
No, people love it. People think it's funny.
But honestly, by the time it finally rolled around, I'd already seen enough magic robots, indestructible shipping containers, and kaiju first and semaphore for it to barely even register. Now,
you're breaking up on Jupiter there, buddy.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, this guy takes the cheesy factor of these films that people love and then tries to make it out like everyone hates it for that reason, even though a lot of people love it for that reason. Hell, I've seen people put Godzilla vs. Megalon in their top 10, and they always mention how they love that.
Mm-hmm. And like, again, I will keep haunting him about his premise, how he's saying like people are just doing plot by plot, like just plots summaries. I know Alex the Hunted made the exact same joke about the indestructible shipping container because for further context for Dunn's sake, Megalon hits that shipping container, it flies like 100 feet up in the air with like 2 people inside it, and when it finally hits the ground, they come out just fine. Again, it doesn't make any sense. It's cheesy, but like that joke's been done to death.
Hang on.
Stop.
Wait. Didn't they isn't Mythbusters canceled or it's no longer going now? Because we need to call them up and be like, hey, can we see if this is true? Can we have an indestructible container, please?
Yeah, with you.
We need to test this myth.
I would love to see them do that, but I don't think they're doing any new episodes. Plus, I know one of the side crew people, he died, so I don't think they are doing anything.
Side crew? I thought it was one of the main crew. Like one of the hosts died.
No, it was like one of the other hosts, like the secondary hosts, like those 3, like it was like I forget their names, but it was like one of those crew who died. But yeah, let's keep going.
I do think I have a much higher tolerance for cheese than most viewers, but as I've said time and time
again, like, does he mean Gouda cheese?
Sorry, itself is inherently bad. No, if Godzilla vs. Megalon has a fault, I'd say it's the middling script, which features some of the most mind-numbingly inconsequential villains of the entire series. I mean, it's one thing for your villain to be so dumb that they generate new problems for your heroes, but it's a whole other thing when your villains are so dumb that they actually make the heroes' jobs easier.
秘密を知った若い男が脱出。
Oh, you mean the thing you freely told him all about, completely unprompted, not 5 minutes ago?
我々の平和を防ぐためにはロボットがたくさん必要なのだ。そうか。それで先輩たちを。
The film also has this really off-putting "no girls allowed" energy. Godzilla
How
vs.
does it have energy?
Sod off.
Let's get through his point.
There's a lot of okay. Let me just say something.
Distinction of being the only film in the series without
Hang on. Don't talk while the film's going because we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Godzilla vs. Megalon holds the dubious distinction of being the only film in the series without a single female character. The only women we ever see are these anonymous dancers.
Here he goes again!
In the back of a truck.
Oh my god!
Themselves. Don't worry. They change positions between shots. Anyway, like
Dude, if this guy was ever dating my daughter, I would shoot him for trespassing. Like the moment he comes up to pick up my daughter, I would just be like, nope, bam.
Like I mean, okay, so like
I wouldn't kill him. I'd be more scared that he would reproduce. So I would.
And that's why I would kill him to get cancel the chances.
That, what would changing the gender of any of the characters do for the film? Like really, what would changing the leader of Seatopia do for the film? One of the or let's say like let's change the one of the male signs, like one of the male guys, like maybe the creator of Jet Jaguar, turn him into a woman. Like what does it do? Are they still friends? Is it like a family unit now? Like looking at the script for what it is, just gender swapping any of the characters, it doesn't do anything. And like I'm not saying like, oh well, you can have
because here's the thing, he's talking about gender.
Like you can have a film with all women, or you can have a film with all men. Like what really matters is the script.
What was Jupiter saying?
Yeah, what did you say, Jupiter?
Yeah.
Not the space station. I think.
Okay. He talks about gender, but the thing is, first of all, as you stated. 1 minute. I'll go inside. 1 minute.
No
This.
Well, he's.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. This guy talks about gender, but the thing is, as you stated, it doesn't really matter if something stars a man or a woman. It's the execution. There's a lot of things I like that just stars women, and there's a lot of things I like that just stars men. It all comes down to if it's good. But the thing is, this guy's a hypocrite because one, making these people female would not change shit. 2, I bet on you if he saw something like K-On! That only girls, he wouldn't bring up anything about sexism. He'd just be like, oh, it's only girls, but he wouldn't bring up anything about sexism. It's the same shit, but double standard with people like him.
Also, just because there aren't like main women characters does not automatically say no girls allowed. That is so asinine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They just written into the script.
Just because there are naked women does not mean women are excluded. I mean, if you may feel uncomfortable, that is your prerogative. I'm not going to hold that against you, but it doesn't. The film isn't just saying there are no women allowed here.
All I have to say is, boom.
I was thinking.
I don't see anyone.
Just why drug man?
Because he lives. Because he'll live and he'll suffer.
But again,
I don't see anyone.
He's talking about like how this is just an Ultraman ripoff, and then he doesn't even go into like Zone Fighter at all, which I think it would be again so much nice information he could provide to a beginner to get them interested in these films, but instead like he wasted on stuff like this.
Not to mention Jet Jaguar is actually, fun fact, a hybrid between Mazinger Z or Mazinger Zero and Ultraman. That was the point of making his design.
Yeah, it wasn't just the Ultraman ripoff, but like also the original design for Jet Jaguar wasn't even like a robot at all. So again, a lot of context is missing, which he just wants to brush over for this video. But let's keep going.
Yeah.
before in the video. The point here isn't to try and give the film a numbered score or anything. I'd be at a loss for that anyway. What we've got here is a mixed bag of endearingly zany madcap action and some really regressive narrative tropes. How do you average all these things together?
Sold all night.
I'd sooner just recommend the film on the basis that it happened to be the most widely distributed Showa film in the history of the United States, even getting the MST3K treatment after it fell into public domain, which might go a long way to explain why so many
Wait, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla is in the... I mean, Megalon is in the public domain?
It was, yeah, for a little bit.
Oh.
But, like, not anymore.
Okay.
But again, this is, like, I like the fact that he mentions this and, like, what he does here, and he explains that, yeah, Megalon being distributed so widely can help to explain why Godzilla was viewed as, like, a campy, child-friendly kind of superhero. Especially to the West. Like, wow, you actually provided something really interesting. I wish this was more of what this review was about.
Oh my god, I just realized something because you paused the movie that, like, that ridge line of the mountain that Godzilla's walking next to is actually pushed up against the wall, and that's like their whole painted background thing.
Yeah,
I just noticed that. Holy shit. See, that's how good these movies were. Fuck this guy. Sorry, continue.
We've got two more
Godzilla
movies
versus
left.
Mechagodzilla, 1974. Godzilla's most thematically front-loaded villain is completely wasted on a bargain bin plot.
One of the best fights in the whole freaking franchise right here.
The best thing about Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla is the opportunity that the villain presents. A chance to explore what Godzilla represents by contrasting him with a robotic version of himself. There's a lot of potential energy in that pitch, a lot of promise. But in my humble opinion, I don't think Toho did very much with it here. The setup is very good. Godzilla suddenly goes on an unprovoked rampage across Japan, and nobody knows why. Anguirus is all like, hey man, what's wrong? And he nearly gets his jaw ripped off for his troubles. But then suddenly a second Godzilla, the real Godzilla, shows up and exposes the first one for the extraterrestrial robot that it is.
Real quick, is B. Frank the one that did all the artwork for this?
B. Frank? No.
Yeah, B. Frank. Yeah, that's what I said.
No,
Okay.
he wasn't.
All right.
No, it was a bunch of different people who did the art for these. Like, they
Okay.
trained a ton of artists.
I was trying to figure out because I was like, man, either he got better or that's not him.
No, it's a lot of different people who were doing
Oh, okay.
But after those first 30 minutes, the story devolves into one we've seen way too many times before, in which a race of silver-suited aliens use a kaiju under their control to try and take over the world. Eventually, Godzilla teams up with another kaiju at the end of the film, and together they kick its ass. But that is literally the plot of, like,
Matter. It's falling into the style of pulp films. It just has a similar formula. They know what their audience likes, so they give it to them. They just try to make it unique.
4 different Godzilla films at this point.
Exactly.
So while this may not be the worst film in the Showa series,
As well as also, I love the fact that, like, he mentions, like, oh yeah, you could symbolize, like, what Godzilla represents, and to a degree, they do that in Godzilla against Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS to a degree, but, like, he doesn't even try here. Like, he just gives the point, and then he says how Mechagodzilla is interesting on a thematic level, but doesn't do anything to, like, give an idea. He just, again,
To elaborate.
doesn't elaborate, just goes to a plot synopsis, like all the people he was complaining about on YouTube who already do that.
I'm not gonna do a plot synopsis. I'm gonna be a feminist plot synopsis. Ah!
in fact, I know plenty of people really like it. I definitely think it's one of the most forgettable. There's almost no dramatic tension.
No,
The
there's a
human
lot of
characters
dramatic
keep
tension.
fussing
Why
over
does he hate silver suits? I don't know.
But the
It's the same reason why he hates women only, like, being in a film as dancers.
So worked up about one of the only things.
He does mention that, like, the prophecy says the monster that like the monster will be defeated. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It mentions that the monsters will fight, but it doesn't mention that he will definitely be defeated.
Things that distinguishes the project besides its villain is that when the aliens die, they transform
Incoming Planet of the Apes reference.
Might seem at first glance, if only because Battle for the Planet.
See, told you.
Yep.
I didn't even see this video yet.
All that said, it's not Mechagodzilla's fault that its first appearance happened to coincide with one of the lowest budgets and one of the fastest production schedules of the entire series. I can't resent it too much, seeing as how Mechagodzilla's next 3 appearances turned out to be 3 of my favorite films of the entire series.
And he doesn't explain it. Watch, ready?
Which finally brings me to Terror of Mechagodzilla, 1975. Ishiro Honda comes out of retirement and teams up with a brand new screenwriter to help pull the series out of a creative nosedive.
Sucking that Honda dick.
9 years.
You know what's funny? I actually just watched this movie last night.
The time I saw Terror of
Mechagodzilla,
I didn't like it very much. I thought, for being the last,
I didn't like you talking about females all the time very much.
Revolutionized the series, reinvented the brand. Well, it didn't do any of those things, but then it wasn't trying to either.
That's like a really weird mindset to go in. Just because something's the last film of a series, you don't need to reinvent everything. Like, it's weird that, like, just because something ends, there needs to be like some revolution or upheaval. Like, he even uses the word revolution to like describe what he wanted out of it. I don't get it.
So now he's working for Antifa too?
As far as I'm concerned, Terror of Mechagodzilla represents the quintessential refinement of the series. Not a revolution, but rather a concentrated effort to try and consolidate all the hard-fought lessons of the series.
You know, if he would have turned his hand around just a little bit, that would have been the Nazi salute.
Ichiro Honda out of semi-retirement to direct. Akira Ifukube was brought back after a 6-year hiatus to compose the score, and brand new screenwriter Yukiko Takayama, the first woman who ever got an above-the-line credit in the whole series, was chosen to write the script. It's been widely reported that her story was picked as a result of a contest, which is true, but I also think it's just as important to note that she was a recent graduate of an independent screenwriting academy.
Oh my god, pause it again! Now he's all over the feminist thing again! Who gives a shit?
Wait, could you run like 10 seconds so I kind of get that?
Just rerun a few seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs to be a fucking psychiatrist for how obsessed he is with his retarded gender politics. Get him off the line!
But guys, you get to look at women.
No, you get to look at women, baby.
Hard-fought lessons of the series into one single film. Toho pulled Ishiro Honda out of semi-retirement to direct. Akira Ifukube was brought back after a 6-year hiatus to compose the score, and brand new screenwriter Yukiko Takayama, the first woman who ever got an above-the-line credit in the whole series, was chosen to write the script. It's been widely reported that her story was picked as a result of a contest, which is true, but I also think it's just as important to note that she was a recent graduate of an independent screenwriting academy, so it wasn't just luck.
Well,
okay, so
you don't need to be like a graduate of something to have a good story. I mean, the guy who wrote Godzilla vs. Biollante, arguably considered one of the best Heisei Godzilla films, wasn't like a graduate of like some film school. I know.
And notice how he didn't talk about any of the other background, like why did they bring Ishiro Honda out of semi-retirement? Why did what was going on, and what about Akira? I can't even say his name right now.
Or like even why what's it called? Like what films was Honda doing at the time, and maybe like I want to want to see like what other films the guy who made the first Godzilla was doing. Here's what you can also look at.
You know what? I bet you I could like copy or not copy, but I could post this video to Twitter and get like all the feminists on board with Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he doesn't know, Andres. He does not know that Terror of Mechagodzilla was never meant to be the last film of the Showa series.
He doesn't even talk about it because he doesn't. He's just looking. Oh,
let's keep going. You'll see. You'll see here.
Okay, he does. He brought. I think he brought something like.
What was that, Joey?
I think he brought up something about film school. Well, here's the thing. Stanley Kubrick, very beloved director of stuff like The Shining, A Clockwork Orange, and other stuff, never went to fucking film school.
Yeah, just because you go to film school does not mean that you're always gonna make a good
Spike Lee, Quentin Tarantino, like there's a whole bunch of motherfuckers that never went to film school that make awesome movies. Fuck this guy.
Exactly.
But like Crow, that's not even good proof because like again, the guy who wrote about like there was a lot of contests that Toho did for things, and not everyone who won were people who like went to school for this stuff. But I don't know.
Anyway. He's on the last movie. Let's finish
graduate
this
of an
shit.
independent screenwriting academy, so it wasn't just luck. The script is an interesting mix of tried and true genre tropes and some fascinating new emotional and thematic elements. When a submarine goes looking for Mechagodzilla's wreckage at the bottom of the sea, it accidentally discovers a territorial but otherwise pretty benevolent aquatic dinosaur called Titanosaurus. The aliens from the previous film have already salvaged Mechagodzilla from the bottom of the sea and have since been waiting for the right time to mount a new attack. And once Titanosaurus gets on their radar, they decide to enlist the aid of a mad scientist who claims he's got the power to control Titanosaurus so that the two kaiju can team up and finally destroy Japan once and for all. It's a great setup, but what makes it all the more engaging is the main character, the daughter of the mad scientist, Katsura.
Oh, God.
Halfway through the film, we find out she kinda died a few years earlier when a lab experiment went wrong, and then the aliens swooped in and replaced much of her body with cybernetic.
The most dramatic deaths ever in a Godzilla movie.
Of her demented father. Thing is, he sort of just took it as a given that she'd do all his bidding from then on, and so when she's finally tasked with taking control of Mechagodzilla herself, she's in a unique position to decide for herself how she's going to use her newfound power. Does she follow the bidding of her overlords, or does she rebel and help the humans at great personal risk to herself? Apparently, screenwriter Takayama said that as long as Toho retained that core emotional conflict, she didn't care what other changes they made to the script. It's a plot that would work splendidly all on its own.
Hey, she's talking to you.
Well, also, what's it called? As Matt says, she's a Cayman rider.
A Cayman rider?
Cayman rider. But again, back to Mr. Drugman. He's giving me these weird eyes right now.
That's basically gonna be in my nightmares too.
Yep.
Gonna haunt my fucking dream.
Making what is perhaps his most triumphant entrance of the series at the relatively late 48-minute mark. And cinematographer Soke Tomioka does a great job of framing the battles like these big, epic boxing match showdowns. The low-angle rock'em sock'em shots really amp up the viscerality of the action in ways that hadn't been seen before in this franchise and have been copied constantly.
What? Low angle? What? What?
Hold up. Did we forget about the second entry in the fucking franchise?
Or the first? That was like so common in the first. Low angles were
This guy's
really important.
This guy's talking like he's this big fan, but the thing is, the points he makes shows that he knows very fucking little about the material he's talking about. Like, I hate to sound like a fucking elitist here, but this guy's not as big of a fan as he's trying to come off as.
No,
Jupiter is the best. Like, he's got the trophy for the longest ranged gatekeeper ever out on Jupiter. It's fucking great.
I honestly don't think
No, you have a gatekeeping laser, so you're like guest starring people with that gatekeeping power.
I know.
But what were you saying, Dunn?
I was thinking like I don't think it's gatekeeping to call somebody out and say you are utterly ignorant about this franchise.
Yeah, no. It's never if someone's spreading false information, I think like as a fan of something, you owe it to yourself to be like, no, this isn't right. Why are you saying this?
I was just joking about the whole gatekeeping thing. I just wanted to make a joke about him being on Jupiter.
Because we have jokes and we have something called humor.
You can hear me right?
Yeah,
yes.
You're good. Don't worry. Yeah, looks like there's no asteroids in your way anymore, so you're good.
Yeah, no good. No worries, dude. I took no offense to that. I thought it was funny.
Okay, good.
I roast people all the time, and they roast me. I just laugh it off.
Yeah, because again, we have humor.
What is this humor?
We're not a bunch of stiff little bitches.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I've been dealing with him on Twitter. I'm just saying.
I've done it. I've done
Emotional, surprising, and inevitable. It's everything you could want from a Showa film, or at least everything I could want. Because you see, despite all the talent working at the top of their game, both in front of and behind the camera, Terror of Mechagodzilla was still the lowest attended film of the entire franchise. Even today, as of this writing, with just 1/10 the number of admissions as the first film. Honda went on to say that his biggest...
Like it could get any more. Like they're going to put it back in theaters. You
wrong.
fucking
I wish
asshat.
this film had done bang-up business back in 1975. But with the benefit of 45 years of hindsight, this film's lack of success is almost sort of poignant in a way. It makes the film feel like a real gem.
I mean, maybe to like you, I guess, but like a lot of fans say Terror of Mechagodzilla is like one of the best in the entire franchise. So,
yeah,
like from your perspective, I guess maybe it feels like a gem, but like to a lot of us, this is like one of the best. Like we don't consider it like a hidden gem.
Andres makes a good point. Didn't Final Wars break the record?
I think, yeah. I do believe Final Wars did, yeah.
Minya may be hot garbage, but Final Wars is hot garbage.
I do believe Final Wars like was the lowest attended. I do believe. But again, I could totally be wrong in that sense. But like, even if that wasn't the case, like, what does like the lowest attendance and like his perspective on it really doesn't mean anything.
Well, the nice thing is we only have 2 minutes left on this video, so we're at the home stretch.
Thank God. I feel like I'm getting colon cancer from this shit.
Yeah, it's really nice that we've like been able to cover a 44-minute video in 2 hours.
Yeah,
you guys right.
Because like again, this film wasn't so bad, but it's like there again. Well, actually, what Dunn said earlier on in the video describes it. And we'll do that up in like the kind of wrap up for this.
You guys can hear me, right?
Kind of accidentally guaranteed that the show series would go out on a high note, slowly getting worse and worse with time. And when Godzilla finally did come back, a full 9 years later, it was free to keep everything that worked from the show series and then do its own thing with a brand new look, a brand new tone, and a brand new continuity. And with that, Showa was done.
What did Monstrosity say? 020?
You
Gotta
still
go.
hate everything you've heard about the series. Like, you know it's just not your cup of matcha. I'm still hoping you can appreciate the artistry.
Matcha?
Yeah,
creative
again,
vision required.
Wants to look sophisticated.
Let's just keep finished. Let's just finish this.
Yeah, let's just finish this.
Keep a franchise going for 15 installments amidst the collapse of an entire national industry and rapidly changing multinational tastes. Any series batting over 500 at that point is a good series in my book. Unless we forget the
Yay! I love ads.
This, guys, I just want you to know this is the whole reason he made this 44-minute long piece of shit.
Yep, that's to make money off of trash.
Yeah, the fact that this
series doesn't even constitute half the full franchise anymore. At the time of this filming, there are still 17 other Toho-produced Godzilla films. I am a big believer in the idea that there is at least one Godzilla film out there for each and every person on the planet. So take my hand, come with me, and I'm sure we'll find the one that's right for you.
Did he really just do that?
Yes, he did just make a 98 reference. Why is like all of it? I don't get like why all of that there was all like Heisei Millennium and Reiwa stuff when this was a show up collection, but okay.
Why I want to know is why did he even use that crappy ass song?
I don't mind the song. I love the cover for it, but like,
well, we have won. We beat it.
Yeah, we beat it because all like essentially the rest of this is just.
It's just empty shotgun.
It's Patreon stuff, but yeah,
it's an empty.
Dunn said it perfectly. It was a shotgun of like just random tidbits, and essentially it was the same format as what he was complaining about, and it comes off as extremely uninformed and hypocritical, and then just really bad gendered takes.
I'm sorry. This video makes me want to take a shotgun, put it in my mouth, and fucking and just blow my brains out already. Like, what the hell? Like, what did my brain just consume?
No, just aiming at his nuts and fire.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, just wow.
For anybody who really wants to understand why suicide rate's so high in Japan, it's because of guys like this and them watching his shitty content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I maintain that his Jurassic Park video is far worse.
I will not ever watch this guy. I've never seen
Don't
this.
watch
Is the
his
first
Jurassic
time.
Park video.
No.
You will get really mad.
This is the first video of his I've ever seen, and I didn't even watch it ahead of time. I will never watch this guy's stuff again. If you want my personal critical opinion about this shitty critic, don't unsubscribe. Don't let him like make him go get a job at the grocery store. Fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. So actually, I will quickly, Joey, before you give your take, I'm just gonna put this up here. Yeah, do not mass dislike or harass people featured on these episodes in any way, shape, or form. Like, honestly, don't give him any attention.
Oh, my bad.
Because he really just like
Attention.
doesn't need it.
I totally just like said the opposite of what you just posted.
I know. I realize that.
So
Like,
Keep in mind here, I'm just trying to be funny
don't
here,
give
but
up views, don't give him ad revenue. I'm only doing it just this once. Excuse me. Like, it's
Now
just
that
not
you
worth
have
it.
And now that you have the video, you can watch somebody with commentary, so you don't have to give them ad revenue.
Exactly. That's
yeah,
perfectly said.
oh, wait.
Good,
This
Joey.
guy's video should be canceled. You need every time he brings out a video, someone dies. Like, my God, an angel does not get its wings. It falls down to its death. It loses its wings. It
Yeah,
fucking
you,
dies.
you have a fallen angel every time one of these things is made, but
Yeah, no, this is the reason Satan exists.
I think that, honestly, this review would turn off more people to the idea of these films rather than get them into the franchise. Especially like
holy fetch!
thing is, this video was.
I'm taking a look through the Dragon Ladies chapter of Framing Monsters, and I think I found one of the worst quotes I've ever seen that works well with this one. Shall I read it?
yeah, please do.
Okay. From the first scene of Jurassic Park, in which a male worker is mauled by a raptor while his boss yells, in an extreme close-up and with creepy reverberation, "Shoot her!" Jurassic Park, it reiterates the family value cycle of crime and punishment, the abdication of the paternal role, men's stifling and reproduction outside the nuclear unit, has loosed a band of screeching harpies who rend and tear those foolish enough to court them. In the world of Jurassic Park, gender is divided across species, and thus reproduction between father and mothers are eliminated. Human males may create, but they cannot procreate with saurian females. The film thus highlights the absence of human females in the park enclave, as in the opening sequence in which an all-male crew headed by a male game warden upholds a cage containing an unseen creature. Women are
Wait, is this his thing? He wrote
This is something that he quoted in another video, and like it's something he takes as legitimate criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When it comes to this guy's video, not only is his point is shallow, he just says something and goes on to the next point without diving into it. The information he gives is misleading, and he is so fucking obsessed with his gender politics. It is disgusting. The video,
Dr. Crow had something funny to say.
Yeah, the video hurt my brain.
I'm going to have to deal with this again on your stream. Yeah. Yeah, actually, wow. Yeah, Dunn. Well, at least I brought Dunn on this time.
Yeah.
Barton actually says he likes Godzilla 90, and there's a video where he tries to defend it, which I recommend for a future stream if that's possible. I did a video on it, actually. I know, actually, Dunn, if they ever do another Cold Crash Pictures video, and they do that one, try to get me on there, because oh my goodness, I have more stuff to say from my original video, but I don't think I'll ever go over the video again here, because I've already done it in a video in the past. But if like another channel does it and they want me on, I'll do it.
Okay.
But
currently it's not on the list. If you want to suggest it, we vote. So
I can suggest. I'll suggest it. Mm-hmm. But again, yeah. In this, like, even this whole format may not even be a common stream occurrence, because there aren't that many videos on YouTube that are as bad as this right here that are kaiju related. There's a lot of videos for like film criticism in general, but for kaiju related, I am happy that this is one of the very few that are out.
That's it. When it comes to in general, you have people like Professor Otaku and others that make crap videos.
Major Lee, what's it called? Jack Saint. Yeah.
Patrick Willems.
Mm-hmm. Your arch nemesis.
No, Patrick Willems is not my arch nemesis. He isn't stupid enough.
No.
School of Movies is specifically Alex Shaw movie, and David Benioff are my nemesis.
Your multiple nemesis, your rogues gallery.
Yeah. I honestly have only covered like David Benioff and School of Movies as of this time. But like I freaking hate Movie Bob.
Well, everyone does. Like, that's all I'll be honest here.
Oh, School of Movies loves Movie Bob. They're personal buddies with him.
I guess stupid attracts.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, guys like this, like this video is like literally one step away from just being a reaction video for real.
It's essentially, yeah.
This has no substance. Wow, no substance. The guy has an agenda, and you can clearly tell. And if you're a female and you agree with him, I just watch out because he's gonna get you. That's all I have to say. He's gonna get you.
But actually, Kaiju Noir, someone mentioned Movie Blob. He gets the meme. He knows the deep lore.
Oh, Lord.
Seriously, what did I come to? You came to insanity. That's what you came to. But again, we can wrap it up right here. This was definitely a trip. I want to thank Dunn, Adam, and Joey for sticking with it. But for Dunn's case, this is actually pretty benign for him. And then for Adam, this is wow. And then for Joey, this is, well, you've dealt with stuff similar on other sites, but like for a video format and related to Godzilla, this is a little wow.
Yeah. I like to say, I really enjoyed being on this video. You all are really cool people, and I had fun doing this with all of you. It was a very fun ride, even though the video we were watching was absolutely nauseating. I did enjoy this little stream with y'all. It was a fun time.
Oh my friend, you have not seen Maggie May Fish yet, have you?
No, he has not. I have to indoctrinate him, and then he's gonna have more nightmares. He's a sweet Dunn. We can't corrupt him yet. He's a sweet summer child. We can't do that to him just yet.
Yeah.
But since what's it called? I ended off with the monkey lover, Adam. If you do your outro for us, Adam.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for having me on the stream. It was really fun. I love to brag and what's it called? Like what is it? What do they do on MTV? Whenever like you know what I'm talking about? Roast.
Roast.
I like roasting dumbasses. So
Dr. Crowan.
And Joey, your outro, my man.
Oh, okay.
My outro time? Yeah, I really enjoyed being here. Like I said, you all were really fun to collaborate with. And it was enjoyable to... And as Adam said, it's fun to roast dumbasses.
Yeah, it is.
And I just realized I'm a bad host, and I didn't let Adam finish his outro.
It's okay. Real quick, y'all subscribe to my channel, Scrye Productions, where I do animations, music, and some other things eventually. You can follow me on Twitter if you want, but I just advertise on there. I got a new Instagram too, same name, and that's pretty much it.
As for me, I didn't finish what I was going to say, but the thing is, when it comes to my outro, thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Subscribe to every single one of us. I am Daikaiju SpaceZilla, and follow us on social media. And comment your thoughts below.
Yeah. Also, I will be letting a lot of people who are in the stream know that either this week or next week there will be a little less content on the channel for me because I will be working on something that me and Joey have been working on for a little while now. It's not Kaiju related, but it will be on his channel, so stay tuned for that.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one. I know what it is. I also got two other videos I'm working on the side that too. One will be out soon with PERSONIFY and Daikaiju Tony, which would be the Kamen Rider Proto Heisei movies. And in case any of you don't know what the Proto Heisei films are, that is Shin Kamen Rider Zeto, Kamen Rider J, and Kamen Rider World. And I also had a Joker review with Sosa Potens and Zim. Should I mention the movie thing we're collaborating on?
No, keep it as a surprise. We'll keep it as a surprise. because not everyone knows. So we'll keep it as a nice.
Oh, okay, we'll keep that.
Advertise it. And then finally,
Okay, I'm looking
Dunn,
forward to that. Really looking
advertise yourself now. Shill, my boy.
Okay. So, so I run a YouTube channel. We cover a variety of different writing topics. Next week is kind of going to be a fun set of streams. I'm planning on doing 4 streams next week, with one of them being two of them being reading the first chapter of Framing Monsters, where Joshua David Bellin gives his very racially charged, shall we say, reading of King Kong.
Actually, try to get me on there because I want to talk about Kong. I want to talk about Monkey.
Okay. If you want to come on, what time?
It's not a kaiju. Just saying.
Whatever.
It's not a kaiju.
What was the date you were planning to do it?
Monday and Wednesday.
Monday and Wednesday. I'm down for that. Yep. I can do
Kong is not a kaiju. Kong is not a kaiju.
Yeah.
Monkeys, Adam.
Yeah. Well, just we usually do 1, but if you want to come on like 3, I can move it according to your schedule if you want to come on.
Oh, don't worry, I'm game.
Okay. For 1 o'clock. Okay.
Yep.
Alrighty. I also we're also doing a guilty pleasures stream of what we on Tuesday, where we just talk about like stuff that we like but we know is kind of bad, and kind of why we like it anyway. And then we have a early writing mistakes stream on Thursday, where we talk about like pitfalls we fell into. And I have 9 books currently out on Amazon. I have the Perion Chronicles, which is a book about a man named Valkar Perion, who, along with his army, goes into an extra-dimensional prison for about 500 years, and then comes out and has to figure out whether or not the people who put him in that prison are in control of the empires right now. Then I have the first 2 Dragonlord books, where it's basically each book is an anthology book where you focus on each successive generation of dragon riders. And I have the first 2 books out. The third one is finished and going to come out in the next couple of months. And I'm writing a short novella in between them. And then I have the Dark Queen AIM series. I have the first 2 books out. Basically, it's what if you kind of were in the head of a Dark Arc Lord type figure, where you kind of understand where she's coming from, and the people who would normally be the fantasy protagonists, where it's like the human kingdom are actually the assholes in the situation.
Yeah, so like Dunn is I'm gonna be picking up some of his books soon. I'm gonna be getting paid at the end of this week, so I'm gonna be setting aside some money for his books because I need more fantasy material to read. So definitely once I update the description with all of our people here's all of their links, do check him out. From what I have seen of his work, he's a very great writer, awesome friend. And finally with me, I thank you all for coming on the stream. Aside from our criticisms, any of the more inflammatory stuff is always in good fun, because we care about quality and we care about the stuff that we are critiquing, and we want quality to keep rising. But without further ado, I am Zimcast.